Rusty.
Perfect.
We're recording and good to go.
Sounds good.
Thanks for coming in.
No, appreciate it. Good to be here.
So, Harvest Eatery.
Yeah.
I've been there a few times. It's how many years now?
Be 12. We're just past our 12 years. So
12
we opened
years.
July 1st, 2013.
Yeah. I would safely venture that has become a bit of a staple in Saskatchewan, I would dare say.
Yeah, I like to let other people say those things.
Yep.
I just tried to show up at work each day and
Yeah.
do my thing. So
It was something different for me. I thought in a previous life when I was a welder, I used to Thursday, Fridays, that's where we'd go.
yeah,
Always had to book it.
awesome.
Couldn't just drive in.
Yeah. Well, I
And-
tell people you can risk walking up. We usually got seats, but we recommend booking it, especially if you're traveling some ways down, because we don't want to disappoint anyone, of course.
Yeah,
So,
we always
yeah.
sat at the bar, so
Nice.
that was usually open for us. So it would have been not very old at that time. How did you come to wanting to start a restaurant in a small town, Saskatchewan, especially, I guess, with the level of ambition you had, being that it's a nicer establishment, nicer food, very nice food, in a town of what, 2,000?
Yeah, 1,700 on a good day, I think.
Yeah.
So, yeah. Traveling, I always wanted to move back home. I love Shaunavon. That's where I grew up, so I love my little town. I think most people that come from a little town feel the same way. But there's a point, when you're 18 years old that sometimes even the world doesn't seem big enough. And you want to get out and you want to explore. And I did a lot of those things. I traveled all over the world, and I ended up eventually in Calgary. Took a construction job first because the roads in Alberta were paved with gold, and anybody from Saskatchewan at that point was being paid way more money than they were worth. And so that sounded like a good deal. So I moved out and lived on a buddy's futon in his bachelor apartment. So there was basically a sliding door into a bedroom. And
What kind of time frame are we talking?
that would have been early 2000s. So probably right around 2000. I graduated in 1997 and I did a year at university.
Culinary or?
No, actually, I majored kind of in partying and socializing, and
Most do?
yeah, I didn't have a real big plan. Coming out of high school, everybody told you the same thing. I mean, as far as guidance counselors went, it was do what your dad does.
Yeah.
Be a farmer or go into oil and gas. But mostly it was just like, go to university then. Like, go to university. You just need to get to university. And no one really said, make sure you know what you're doing when you go to university, because it's expensive, incredibly expensive. And so I did a year. I had student loans and that stuff, and I worked them up. And after a year, the university said, you may want to take a year off, to their credit, and figure out what you want to do. And I was like, how am I going to break this news to my parents? And at the same time, a phone call had rolled in. I had applied for a group called Canada World Youth. When I was graduating, it was kind of just on the bulletin board in the hallway at the high school, and I thought, this sounds kind of neat, doing a travel exchange. And they got a hold of me and said, listen, we're going back through. I didn't make it obviously right out of high school, or I probably would have done that instead. And yeah, they said, we loved your interview then, we just didn't have room for you in the program. Would you be interested in going now? And
So
we've got,
still no huge passion for food at this time.
no, wasn't even thinking about it at that point.
Yeah.
And I said, sure, let's do it. They said, your options are Russia or South America. South America sounded warmer for a kid from the prairies. So I decided to go to South America, and ended up in Ecuador. It was an exchange program. The Ecuadorians came over here. We went out to Ontario. I was in a little town called Beaton, Ontario, which is just near Alliston, which is kind of famous for a Honda plant. They have a big Honda factory. But we were a couple hours north of Toronto. So that was my first foray into suburbia and seeing, like, you're still an hour and a half out of downtown, 2 hours out of downtown Toronto, but there was nice coffee shops, cool things. And it was a little town. It wasn't that big, but they're commuter towns. It was weird for me because people didn't know their neighbors. They didn't want to talk to their neighbors still. They just drove into Toronto to work and then came back to their suburbia house, mowed their lawn, and just didn't really engage. And so I was excited to get to Ecuador. We were 3-4 months in Canada first while the Ecuadorians kind of learned, and they helped teach us a bit of basic Spanish and rudimentary Spanish to get by. And then we went to Ecuador, and we were building greenhouses from the ground up, teaching English lessons to the kids. But we were out in my town was called San Juan de la Tola, and it was maybe 10 families.
Yeah.
We had to walk like 3 kilometers in on this cobblestone road off the highway where the bus dropped us off. Closest city was maybe a 30-40 minute walk if we wanted to down the highway in, and that was a little bit of a bigger one. But I fell in love with it. The community was very tight, very, very much felt like home, where people were helping each other, looking after each other. I mean, it was, you walked and crested this hill, and we were about 10,000 feet up in the Andes Mountains there. So it was beautiful. I saw lightning bugs for the first time, which I have now seen in northern Saskatchewan. So don't everybody write in and tell Logan that they don't exist. But in southwest Saskatchewan, we don't really have lightning bugs, very rarely. And so to see them there, it was just this magical experience, and it really stuck with me. And so I journaled and stuff while I was down there, and we eventually got out. It was an interesting exit. The economy kind of collapsed while we were in Ecuador. I think it was the sucre, it was called, when we first got there, and it was worth about 3,000 sucre to a Canadian dollar. And about 3 months after, when we were leaving, it was close to 10,000 sucre for a Canadian dollar. So it's a very rapid collapse. And then they froze all bank accounts with American money. And so they protested, and they do it a little different in South America than we do it in Canada. They like to roll buses into the streets and light them on fire and basically have a full blown protest. And so that was unique. We got out. Lost a lot of photos. I had taken everything out because we were going through Colombia, and for anyone who's traveled, when you go through Colombia, they in the 90s they x-rayed the crap out of your stuff, because Colombia is known for transporting things other than people. So they just want to know what's kind of going on. So we had been advised, take all your film canisters out before you go through all the x-ray machines, because they'll and I left them in the hotel. So luckily I don't have a lot of photos of that, and I say luckily because what I do have to go from is my memories. And after I got back to Canada, I tried university one more time, and I did much better at school the second time around. I was taking biology, chemistry. I was going to go into be an optometrist like my dad did. Seemed like a good gig. He's not looking at mouths or buttholes or anything awful. Eyes were a pretty good thing to kind of look at. And he built a great life, and he had done a lot of things. So it was attractive to me in that sense, but I just had no passion for it. I was good at the stuff. I was no dummy. I could figure things out quick, but I literally could care less about those things. And I thought, I'm going to find a job where I don't need to use science and math, because I hate these subjects. And so I moved. That's when my buddy said, come to Calgary. So we fast forward. I move out to Calgary. I live on his sofa, and I start construction work. And I'm not being paid as much as I thought I'd get paid. And I didn't really mind the work. I actually quite liked the work. I didn't love a lot of the guys I was working with. The conversations weren't at my speed. And about 3 weeks after working there, we were actually building log cabins, these big, beautiful log cabins up by Airdrie. And I was up on the scaffolding trying to pass a big 9x12 sheet of plywood up to a guy or whatever it was. And the wind picked up and caught it like a sail and pulled me off the scaffolding, and I fell down. We weren't tied in. I guess I don't want OCB or occupational health and safety going after these guys, so I won't mention any names. But I banged my foot up, but like a good Sasky, I didn't say anything. I worked out the day. I got into downtown Calgary. I was still trying to figure out the transit system at the time, and I couldn't figure it out. So I hobbled home about 12 city blocks in the heat. And my buddy thought it was hilarious when I walked in the door. And the next day I woke up and my ankle was the size of a grapefruit. And I called them and said, I can't come to work. And I don't know if I'm going to come back after I'm healed. I don't, this was maybe what I needed. So I gave my ankle, it took a few days. It was pretty black and blue, and it healed. And once I was good enough to walk on it, I printed resumes and decided I'm going to get into the restaurant industry. And I'd always kind of wanted to be in the restaurant industry. We can double back to why I wanted to do that shortly. But
I'm just amazing you dodged the oil patch in Calgary in the early 2000s, mid 2000s, because man, there was money to be made every direction you looked.
Every which way. And I guess, I don't know, I wouldn't say I was turned off by it, but I'm a creative. And when you're a creative, you want to do something that allows, even if it's a desk job or whatever, but there needs to be some flex for that creative muscle, because if not, I just get so bored so quick. And it's not about the quality of the work. And for me, it's never been about how much money I'm making at doing something. I had great parents that said, just love what you do.
I was going to ask, did you have guidance that steered you in the direction of a passion? Because it sounds like you do. And
Always.
I think with, the rising cost of education, that's more of a conversation now, not just go get a degree and then you can always fall back on it.
They were awesome. My mom and dad, from the get-go, no matter what we wanted to do as kids, they tried to, my mom especially, my dad worked very hard. For those of you who don't know who my dad is, he's an optometrist in Shaunavon, and he eventually became the president of the Saskatchewan Optometric Association. He's been the president of the Canadian Optometric Association. He's the current president, or I guess past president of the I Recommend, which is a marketing group. And he's done all of this from Shaunavon. So
clearly he's passionate about what he does.
Loves it and loves what he does. But it also showed me, like, it's not restrictive to live in a small town. You can accomplish things that he was leading the entire country's optometrists, for a while out of Shaunavon. Yeah. So yeah, and they traveled a lot, and my mom is very much a creative, and she made sure that we were in, piano lessons as kids, and we did art lessons, and she felt that was as important as our schooling and stuff like that. And they were really good. I was good in school. My teachers tell me it was always the same story. Like, you have such potential. Yeah. You have such potential. If you would only use your potential. And I was kind of like, well, this is fucking boring. Find me something. Can I swear on this?
You can swear on it.
I won't go too much. No, I was bored. And so for me, it was like, find me something that I'm into. And if I'm tuned into something, I don't know if you'll see anybody ever work harder, more diligently, with more thought at it. Like, I'm tuned in. So I was into music. I was doing this stuff. When I first went to university, I thought I would be an actor. And so I took a little in year one of drama and stuff like that, along with some other courses. And my mom and dad said, if you're going to be an actor, we will support you, but you will starve. We're not going to pay your way. We're not paying your rent. So you can go bum around. Like, part of it is going to be the struggle. That's going to be what makes you. So they have always been there. Of course, when I couldn't make rent or be homeless, I'd have to suck it up and call home, and they would help. But I think it hurt them. They don't want to, because they know it's not helping me at the same time. By just bailing me out all the time. So they really kind of instilled in me. I guess at some point I was like, I just want to show them that I can do something. So moving to Calgary was kind of an offshoot of that. I had been back home for a year after the traveling. I was painting and just doing odd jobs, bumming around town, basically living in their basement. So I came up out of the basement and said, I'm moving to Calgary. My mom said, when? And I said, today. And I had a stick with a bag tied on the back end, and I was gone. But they were like, okay, we support you. Go do your thing. And so I got there, and they were surprised I was doing this construction gig, but I was working, I was making money, and they were happy. And I was I really was happy. I was living with one of my best buddies, still my best friend, plays music with me to this day. It was a cool time, but I finally decided, I want to go try this restaurant thing. I'd tried it in Shaunavon. I worked at the Shawnee, which is the local Chinese restaurant, and I was washing dishes and stuff. And I guess, so, like, looking back, we were talking about that. There's a lot of things that said, I'm going to end up here. I just, the signposts weren't clear when you're in it. You can't see the forest for the trees, right? Yeah. So I took all, in our local rink, if you played hockey, you had to work in the booth. That was part of the trade-off then. It's different now. Usually there's a lease system, but then everybody put in time. And one of my good buddies' parents ran the booth, and I would actually take anybody's shifts that didn't want to be in there, because I loved putting things in the deep fryer and I love cooking. And my parents had tons of dinner parties when we were growing up. Not tons, but they liked to host dinner parties. They traveled the world. They would come back with new cookbooks and things, and they would bring in this eclectic mix. There would be some of the doctors, dentists. There was, I remember this guy, Randy Surgic, an amazing piano player that would come in. And so the stories and the energy and the vibe, it was never just a bunch of the same people. It was always these really wonderful dinner parties, and the conversation was good. And I'd fall asleep at the top of the stairs just listening to the hums. So
you're getting cultured a little bit in that little town.
And I was falling in love with hospitality.
Okay. Yeah.
I was falling in love with hospitality, which I didn't realize at the time. I was really falling in love, not just with cooking food, but bringing people, welcoming them into your home, putting on a new experience for them. The exchange of stories, ideas. Not everyone agreed all the time, but it was always vibrant and eclectic, and it was always shared. And there was never like this rage undercurrent of that we have nowadays, that people can't seem to talk about something.
Can't talk politics at the dinner table.
Angry. Like my wife even said today, "Are you going to be talking politics on this?" And I said,
"Maybe,
maybe we'll get to it, but I don't get upset. And if it pisses somebody else off, I mean, that's your problem, not mine.
Yeah.
Like I'm allowed to feel the way I want, and so are you. And we can still sit down and have a beer and do our thing. Like that's what makes the world unique. So yeah, I fast forward to Calgary. My ankle's healed. I walked down 17th Avenue because we were just up past 17th and 14th where we were living.
So you went home to the couch while you were laid up.
I was laid
crawling
up.
home.
I laid on his couch. I didn't come to Shaunavon. I stayed in Calgary because I couldn't. Not a chance. There's a lot of things, but pride is one of maybe my worst things, and it'll keep me in a situation longer than I should be. But yeah, I stuck around. And as soon as I was healed, I had rent to pay my share, so I needed to get back to work, and I must have canvassed about 30 restaurants up and down 17th that day. A couple basic interviews, where have you worked for? Nowhere.
Yeah.
Shawnee restaurant, washing dishes. Like, what experience do you have? None.
Yeah.
But I really like food, and I'm a hard worker, and and finally I entered, it was called the Metropolitan Grill, Mount Royal Village. And they interviewed me that day, and luckily there was a team of Saskies in the kitchen, and they knew the work ethic of a good rural boy from Saskatchewan because they had a few, and so they were like, "Well, we'll hire you, but you can't serve or cook, or we're going to hire you as an expediter." And so for those people that don't know what that is, in busy restaurants, they have someone that stands right opposite of the kitchen, and as the tickets are sold, they expedite the process of moving the food to the table. So they'll make sure that the right dishes are going to the right spot at the right time. So if it's a busy restaurant and that fails, chances are the expediter might have shit the bed on you.
Okay, there you go.
Yeah, if you got the wrong dish. It might have been the kitchen, but usually that's the expediter supposed to catch that mistake at the window. So.
Is this still a restaurant today?
I believe it might be closed now. They had a Stephen Avenue location. I believe Mount Royal is closed, and they might still have a Stephen Avenue location downtown. Right. That group actually grew into a number, and I kind of came in and out of that restaurant group a few times through my career in Calgary. So yeah, but they got me started. It was awesome. Yeah. We had Kevin Costner and Coolio, and we were at the end of the Red Mile when the Flames made their run. So we had all of the big parties and all the NHL teams. And when the Stampeders won the Grey Cup, they had their party there, and I drank out of the Grey Cup. And so I mean, it was just like, how do you not fall in love with that? And I was living with 6 other guys at this point now in a house in Hawkwood, which is way north in Calgary. Yeah. Train line ended at Dalhousie. So if you didn't get your train, like that last bus, you were like an hour walk still from the last train home. So I decided I am fully in. I'm all in. I don't care.
It was a good crew. It sounds like it was the old school restaurant experience. You guys were probably partying a little too hard, having too much fun.
Fully. Yeah. Everything you've read in Kitchen Confidential was my experience. Yeah. So we had a great crew of hardworking guys. We worked our butts off. Andrew Gass, who's now a close friend who now owns Vacay Brew Company in Calgary. He's gone on to be a brewer. He's got a couple restaurants. He cooked for the World Juniors team for a couple days, couple weeks. And yeah, we all became fast friends. And so I would come in and I would expedite in the morning, or further down the road, I became a day bartender and server. So I had some front of house. But I really was hitting it off the kitchen guys, and we'd work, and then I'd get to work at 11. I'd work until 2. I'd have a break until 3 or 4 o'clock, depending how much time I had and what I was doing. Be back by 4, work supper rush until 8 o'clock, and then the upstairs area would turn into like a nightclub. And so then I would actually bus and bar back until 3 or 4 in the morning. From 8 p.m. on. So, and then after 4 a.m., we would have a few more beers, and I'd pass out and I'd sleep for 4 hours, and I'd come back to work and do it all again. And I did that like 6 to 7 days a week.
Jeez.
And so but it was fun.
You loved it.
I loved it. Yeah. It was, when I was at home, I wanted to be at work because that was where all my friends were, and the action was happening. What's celebs coming through? What's happening tonight? And I was brushing elbows with titans of industry through Calgary. They were partying there. They were drinking, developers, real estate guys, lawyers, like you name it. Like it was it was just like you were behind the scenes at the Wizard of Oz. You know, the curtain had been drawn back, and you saw all these things happening. And so, yeah, I fell in love with the industry, and I got recruited out of there to go. Ryan Clark, who's one of the chefs who first started me, he was the product development chef guy. He left. I had a run-in with a general manager there at one point. I was 10 or 15 minutes late, and they just didn't like me, and I'm not the type of guy to put up with too much bullshit. So when he kind of said, I was leaving to go home for the weekend, and he said, well, we'll decide, and when you get back, we'll figure out if you've still got a job or not. And I said, you know what? Like, F you. Like, I'm not waiting for the week. I'm not going home and then not knowing if I'm coming back to work. Like, you fire me now or I quit.
Yeah.
And so I quit, and I came back, and I went into shoe sales. I was living near a shoe warehouse, and that was the first job. I was canvassing because I needed to get to work. I had rent to pay, right? Like, and going on EI or welfare, any of that was just not, I was able-bodied, so why would I be doing that? So I got back to work. I took a job at Shoe Warehouse. I worked my way up from a lowly shoe salesman on commission to the manager, and then they eventually moved me over to an all women's shoe store where I managed. It was called Sterling Shoes. They were carrying like the higher end shoes.
So you put in a shift in the shoe
industry. I was there for probably a year and a half. You know, man. It was good money. That was the hard thing. I was actually making really great cash. Once I became a store manager, I was getting a percentage of the store commission. I was getting percentage of personal commission plus a salary, which I'd never had before. So it was steady income, but I fucking hated it.
And you're probably early 20s. What are you looking at now? 25?
Yeah, no, maybe 21, 22. But I didn't like it. This is nothing against women and their shoes, but if anybody's ever watched Married with Children back in the day, and Al Borland and his gig, like, pretty accurate. Pretty accurate. Like,
put up with a lot.
Yeah. You know, it was just, I wasn't passionate about it. It was a great company to work for. They were good, but eventually it ran its course. And Ryan had now taken the job as the night sous chef, my good friend, who I was living with. And he was at Salt Lake Steakhouse, which is still there, downtown Calgary, right down from the tower. And they're an offshoot of the Earls group, part of the Earls, Joey's, the Fuller clan. This was Stu Fuller's. He had one in Banff and one in Calgary. And I said to Ryan, I think I want to get into the kitchen. Because I was still partying with all of those guys. Those were my guys. Like, I mean, I have like great friends now that they're my best friends my whole life. They've gone into oil and gas. We sit around, have beer, and they start talking about 50 and 22 and all this. And it don't make any sense to me, but I knew what those guys were talking about. So I was in the conversation, and it was great conversation, and it was fun all the time. And so I said, I want to be a part of this. And Ryan said, well, you can come work for me, but because you're my roommate, because everybody knows that, and like, he's like, you got to start washing dishes. Like, I need a dishwasher. Yeah. So I was back in the restaurant industry, back on the very bottom rung. Yeah. Which advice to kids out there, when you're thinking you don't want to stick something out because it sucks, if you keep changing jobs, you're sending a message to people that you can't stick it out. Yeah. So sometimes things aren't always perfect, but at least give things a year or two and grind them out and show people you've got some staying power, because it matters.
There's nothing in this world you're going to get quick.
Nothing.
You got to grind. You got to go.
And if shit is meant worth having, it means you got to work hard to have it. Because if it comes easy, it will go as easy. So these are lessons learned along the way. But he started me as a dishwasher. I took a lot of pride in just washing dishes even and being the fastest and the best at it. And it was a hopping place. Like, I mean, same thing. We were back in it. We had the Eagles and we had Tea Party and all these bands that were playing because they were staying right down at the Hyatt in there all the time. And it had an upstairs bar that it called Sky Bar that turned into a nightclub at night. And so it was similar to the Met, except we had the dining room downstairs. It wasn't a mix. It was very much, this is the nightclub, this is it. And when the restaurant closed, they had that. And we had awesome times there. And I remember at some point, about 6 months after I'd started as dishwasher, they said, are you ready to come cook? And so I got on the line, and it was maybe 2 months after that, I was the assistant night sous chef. So I stepped in, and it wasn't like I knew everything. I kept my mouth shut, my head down. I worked hard, and I loved what I was doing. So I worked even that much harder at it. Like, I dispel the notion of naturally gifted. I think that's a BS excuse people make because they don't achieve things themselves, and people are going to get hard at me. But the one thing I know of knowing Haley Wickenheiser, who learned to play in my backyard, of the Hunter brothers, who I spend lots of time with, Ryan, Andrew Gass, all of these people that I've watched, they love what they're doing. And as a result, they spend that much more time, energy, and hours pouring into it than the next guy sitting next to them. And that's why they're successful.
Yeah.
And that's why they do well. And I could see that. I could see it was a matter of just not just outlasting, but like it's a marathon.
Yeah.
It's not about just being there
Yeah.
and being there long enough. You have to work hard, and you have to have staying power, and you have to outwork people. And so everyone would always say, work smarter, not harder.
Yeah.
I disagree. Work smarter and harder.
Yeah.
Do
So,
both.
Night one on the line as a cook, did you feel some pressure?
A little bit, but not really. I was so jacked. I mean, I think it would be like the guy getting his first WHL game or something. Like,
Yeah.
you're going to have some nerves. You don't want to screw up, but you've been waiting for this.
Yeah.
And this is what you want. And so you want to do your best. And I made mistakes. I'm sure I burnt some shit that night. But I and myself. And I didn't, I grounded out. And 3 months after that, I was on the grill. Which at Salt Lick was insane. We had, what do we have? Six different cuts of steaks. So sirloin, tenderloin, ribeye, bone-in ribeye, T-bone, and tenderloin. And then we had chicken breast. We had ribs. So I had underneath this grill, there was 9 drawers. And on top of that, I needed to have every doneness. Rare, mid-rare, medium, well, Chicago
Yeah.
rare. There was... So I had to learn to cook steaks the old school way, no temperature.
I can tell you learned to cook beef.
Yeah,
I've had your beef.
I love it, and I tell people that I'm a terrible hunter.
Yeah.
You would never want to take me. I love fishing. I'm not so bad. I wouldn't say I'm a great fisherman, but I'm much better than I'm at hunting. But I'm the guy you want to bring to help slaughter, break it down, cook it afterwards. That's my role, and I take a lot of pride in that role, and I love it. I don't like hunting. I don't like killing things.
Yeah.
But once they're dead, I want to make sure we use them and honor them and use all of it. So that kind of came from there. And then eventually I was actually, funny story, while I was dishwashing, you asked if I screwed anything up. My very first thing they kind of gave me out of the dishwasher to go practice was to make croutons. And they said, these croutons need to be 1 inch by 1 inch croutons. And so I wanted to be perfect. So perfect 1 inch by 1 inch croutons. Made them, tossed them, everything, put them in the oven, was so proud, went back to scrubbing dishes. And then the chef comes back and he's like, how are those croutons doing? And I went, and he goes, you don't see the smoke?
Oh, no.
And the whole roof, I hadn't set a timer. I burnt 5 or 6 trays of croutons. I probably spent an hour and a half, 2 hours cutting. I took too long to do it. They would have been perfect croutons and I burnt them. So that was a quick lesson in using timers, which to this day, if you work in my kitchen, I'll be like, I don't give a shit. Put the timer on. It'll save your life. So I made mistakes, but I always quickly adjusted. And to me, they were never a mistake. I had a chef told me once, he said, they're not mistakes, they're opportunities. Yeah. They're opportunities to get better. They're mistakes if you continue to make them.
Yeah.
So don't make the same one again.
Yeah.
Use it as an opportunity to learn and get better and figure out what you did wrong. Now attack.
Yeah.
Now go do it better than you did last time. Then every time you do it, figure out what you can do to be better at it. And I really think maybe that's a perfectionist mindset, but I feel I've sat down, I've chatted with Haley. I feel like other Olympians I've been around, that's the mindset is it's not always going to be perfect. Learn from the things that didn't go right so you can adjust them and get better the next time.
Good mentors you've run into.
Yeah. I don't know if that's a luck thing or just being in the right place at the right time or just I paid attention. I think there's a lot of people out there with a lot of good information. Yeah. And everyone's looking for this perfect Disney mentor, but it comes at you and it's life. You don't get to decide. You got to be ready and willing to accept that information on your end, and then you'll find there's a wealth of it out there.
I think this is I'm not that old, but it's an old man thing to say is kids these days just can't take advice. There's I'm smarter than you. I know. No, listen to people that are older than you. You learn the most from listening. And that takes time I was not that way in my high school days and stuff. I couldn't be told I was smarter than my parents, blah, 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 blah. I wish I didn't think that way.
I was the same. And I think that helps me connect. I've never forgotten that as I've gotten older. I think it's funny. I go to a lot of conferences and you hear the same thing. It's kids these days, they don't listen, or they don't work hard enough, or they don't want this, that. I'm like, I think every generation has set a version of that.
Yeah.
As it's gotten softer. And if you really want to blame anybody, I think don't blame the kids. Blame who's raising the kids.
Yeah.
You know, like that's got to start there.
That's true. And I think you weren't probably working as hard at construction as you worked as hard in the kitchen because your passion wasn't there.
Not even close.
If you're not working hard, you're not passionate. So find something else.
Find something else.
Yeah.
And I tell people the same thing. You know what? This isn't a bad thing. It's just not the right fit for you or for me. And before things go the wrong way in the restaurant, I encourage you to go do something else that you're more passionate about.
Yeah.
Don't just take this job because you're wasting your time and you're wasting my time.
Yeah.
So move on and figure it out. And nobody's going to be right. And just because you thought you wanted to do something when you're 15 or 16, I mean, by the time you're 25, it might be different. By the time you're 35, it might be different. So if you're 40 or 50 and you're sitting out there right now and you want to do something different, don't wait for the world to break your leg or a disaster to happen to force it. Like do it on your terms.
Yeah.
And start the ball right now. You know, I'm thinking about it. I'm 46 right now. I've been doing this for a long time. My body, I was just telling you, my legs after this weekend, everything hurts, you know.
Being bent over a grill, man, I can't
start
imagine.
thinking about it. Yeah. Like I'm like, what do I want to do? You know? So teaching's really something that's kind of into me right now, whether I go back to be I get my education degree or whether I worked with like SAIT or SIAST or something down the road teaching cooking, or whether I just do it at schools with kids and start my own class. I don't know. I think that's probably where I want to be because I love mentoring people and I love seeing people achieve wicked things in their life. And
well, people say teaching makes you better at what you do. You further yourself through teaching big time as well. So
it makes you a better communicator. That's for damn sure. Because you gotta figure out how to get to people. You can't just talk to everyone the same. Yeah. You've got to figure out what makes them tick and how to motivate them. So So the Salt Lick kind of kicked it off. I eventually became the night sous chef there. That was a heck of an experience. And then the Met called me back. They were opening this downtown location now, and they'd heard about all my success there, and I was kind of part of the team, and they said, you want to come help us open this? And so I did that, and same kind of thing, you know, hockey teams, big parties, like we were in the heart of Stampede, which was a new thing for me. So it was great, but it was very corporate. And I know now, like, that is not something that I like, where bottom lines and numbers are more important than the people that make up the business. I think anybody that comes or talks to my staff will know that I care very much about the people, not just my people, like my employees and staff, but my guests that walk through the door. And I care about those things. And I think that that's the good old days we've lost by handing things over to corporations, and we get upset when it doesn't go right, but they don't really care about us. They care about a bottom line and a balance sheet.
There are a few establishments that are part of a chain, and they do provide a good guest experience and stuff like that, but you know, they got everything to a T.
But working for them is a different story. See, I feel they're burning out because they don't want to pay cooks. They want to bring them in young. They work them young. By the time they hit 21, they're burnt out. They hate the industry, and they go into welding or construction or whatever else.
And everything's the same. You're cooking that same menu over and over and over and over, the exact same. Like, to me, that's like a musician playing the same song for 30 years.
Yeah. And their chains, the biggest thing the chains have done now, like back in the day, one of the big ones that I worked for, let's just say it was a sister restaurant for a restaurant I worked for. They're one of the most famous in the country. They did everything from scratch in the building. We learned to make soups and stocks, and that stuff's all done at a factory now and shipped out. Yeah. And they open the bag and they pour it in. So they heat stuff up, but they're not really learning. Yeah. And they're being roboticized essentially and replaceable. And you wonder why we don't see kids flocking to these jobs and stuff anymore. It's because they're not learning anything. No. They're just being churned up and used and spit back out. By the time they're done, they want no part of that, you know? So I think it's a shame that they've decided to go that way. I think that's a bit of the consumer culture. Is some people are quite adventurous. A lot of people aren't. They want to eat that same dish no matter where the hell they go in the world. Yeah. They don't want to try anything new, you know. And I find that such a scared, sad way to live. Like, and I'm not calling them scared or sad. For me, and the way I see the world, and I want adventure, and I know that I've discovered so many amazing things by taking a leap of faith and doing things. trust me, it hasn't always worked out. You're probably right. The person that's at home going, no, you take the safe route. Like, no, it's probably a little more secure, but you do not get the same experience in the safe route.
No,
you do not get those one-off experiences. And for me, when I lay on my deathbed at the end of my life, I can't take my trailer or my big house or my boat or clothes I bought or the TVs or any of that. None of that shit's coming with me. All I'm going to be left with in that room is the people that I've met along the way, the memories I've made with them, and the things that are in my head. And I don't want that to be full of regrets.
No, and those big restaurants, I mean, that's all it is in the office, cost.
Get rid of this person, cut their hours back.
Yeah.
We can only run this much. Stop using that good ingredient. Let's use this cheaper, more produced one.
Yeah.
They're not going to know.
Yeah.
They're not going to taste
exactly.
it. Just change it because we need to make these numbers,
Or we won't make that in-house anymore. We'll get it farmed in, and it's not about the dining experience. And like I said, a lot of them get away with it with providing a good product to the end user. But I mean, you watch Chef's Table on Netflix and you watch all these top chefs around the world, and that's just completely not what they're about. That experience is just, it's lost in gastronomy and the actual art of creating food and the experience. And those guys running those big corporations aren't cooking. They're not in the kitchen making menus. And
I've always wondered if it's not a kickoff of, like, Europe for so many years, you look at their history and their wealth of the history and how they've got there. And in places like Italy, the meal has always been very important. But don't let Italians convince you that pasta is something they've laid claim to for years, because that wasn't until like Mussolini that they actually started making a lot of pasta.
I don't even think they had olives that were native to Italy.
A lot of things like that. Like, and so we get caught up in these food stories. The French have done it for a long time. Now, that being said, the best meals I've had in my life have been in Italy. So they figured it out quick. And the way they appreciate and regard a meal is a lot like what I grew up with. Like if the phone rang, because no one had cell phones when I was a kid in high school. If the phone rang during supper time, like you prayed to God it wasn't one of your friends calling for you because you were going to get in trouble.
Yeah.
Because this is supper time and we're sitting down at the table and we're going to talk and we're going to share about our day.
Yeah.
And that was important. And then we became in North America very much like we're work. Now mom's got to get to work. Dad's got to get to work. Kids have got to go to daycare. I have to work this long because I have to pay my bill, my mortgage, we're just so under it here. That's all. The only way out we can see is like work, more work.
What's for supper?
And so supper becomes fuel.
Yeah.
It doesn't become a time to sit and share.
Not even good.
And that opens the door for chains.
Yeah.
Because now it's not about the dining experience. It's about how close can we make it feel like a dining experience while we're feeding you factory produced food.
Yeah.
Nothing fresh. Like, it drives me nuts. There's a certain company out there that preaches about their grass-fed beef as a fast food restaurant, and their chickens that are fed vegetarian feed. And I'm like, these are all just like, most beef in Canada is grass-fed. Is it grass-finished?
Yeah.
Are you taking it the whole way? Because most of it pastures in the summer. So they're just lying, essentially, outright, just trying to market this to
free-run
people.
eggs.
But it's still crappy food.
Yeah.
I don't care what labels they put on it. They're not trying to get the best beef they can get. You can see it. And, I had a guy even show up in my restaurant, write a review the other week. Pretty good bar food, he called it. I'd eat here more if it was 30 to 40% less. My burger's $22. That means I'm selling it for $16 if I go 40%. That's less than McDonald's sells a burger for.
I know.
Like, how do you respond to that kind of stuff, right? And I really, at the end of the day, it ain't about me. That's his preference. Ultimately, I could win him over if I started to serve fast garbage food, and that's not who I'm about. And so I try to walk away from those. We can't be everything to everybody. We do what we are passionate about. Hopefully people read off it, and years of cooking and working and living in Saskatchewan and growing up here and seeing how ranchers take care of their beef and seeing how the farmers put in so much work and effort just to put it's money in the bin, but they're passionate about it.
Yeah.
And they want to make the best. They want to raise the best crops they can raise. They want to raise the best beef a lot of times they can raise. Not everybody, but most.
They're
and
mostly
especially the
prideful.
ones we're dealing with, because those are the ones we want to shine a light on and say, look at how much they care. And so you asked initially before we went on this tangent why I came home to do it. because I went to Europe and I ate in some 1, 2, 3 Michelin star restaurants. They weren't all in the cities. A lot of them were in these smaller rural towns, an hour or two outside of the city, right where everything was being produced.
Yeah.
Right where it's being. So we've always laughed at the farm to table concept in North America because those farms are often 2 to 3 hours away from the restaurant they're serving.
Yeah.
So we said, if everyone else gets to be farm to table, we're going to be table to farm. We're going to put the restaurant back in our little town. I'd done my research. I'd worked in restaurants. I know this is not being gloated. Restaurants can do a lot for a community. A really good restaurant.
Yeah.
And they can draw people and they can create, they purchase from people. There's spin-offs of other people seeing you do well and be confident. I mean, you look at cities, major cities, when they're regentrifying a neighborhood, what is the first thing they want in those good restaurants?
I bought a painting in my house. It's still hanging there out of your restaurant.
Oh, right on. Yeah.
Like things like that.
Yeah. So we get to share the artist story. So that's kind of initially when we opened it, it was mom and pop. We weren't coming to open a super popular, all the things that people say about us. That was not our goal. We wanted to come back to where I grew up, have a family, raise our family there, and have something that could just sustain us.
Yeah.
It would be enough that we would be able to feed ourselves and work, and we could take a bit of time off to travel because that's important to my wife Christy and I. And I just it grew beyond anything we ever could. So when people ask me about stuff, I'm like, those are everyone else's words. I just show up to work and make my food every day.
But I think that's how
like
you get
a musician.
There.
You just write a song. How people feel when they listen to it.
Yeah.
That's them. And how someone feels when they walk through the doors to Harvest and get served. I mean, if you hate it, okay. I don't need to change everything I do. Just don't come back.
Yeah.
And if you love it, go tell a bunch of friends and come back. And the reason I say tell a bunch of friends about that is there's no need, if you don't like something, go tell everyone else it's garbage, because that's not true. No. I don't like it.
Yeah.
Maybe you might.
Yeah.
Go check it out.
Yeah.
But if you do like something and you want to see it survive, tell your friends and support those places, because we need it more than ever.
That guy's review you see it all the time. If I go into a restaurant, you got to have nowadays, have your expectations made. The food costs money. The staff costs money. The building costs money. I got to be able to pay taxes, pay myself. What do you expect? If you're going to go and dine out and expect, especially a good dining experience, go in there expecting to pay for it.
Yeah.
This isn't McDonald's.
Well, and compare apples to apples.
Yeah.
Compare a restaurant like us to the Keg or to some of the higher end restaurants in Calgary, and look at our price point, their price point, the service, the wine list, the ingredients we use, all that stuff. Don't compare me to a chain restaurant that has buying power. Don't compare me to a pub that's not trying to do. And I love pubs. I went and ate chicken wings at our local pub last night. I love it. I'm not hoity-toity pretentious. This is what I chose to do.
Yeah.
I chose to make this food. I chose it because this is what I enjoy doing.
Yeah.
It has nothing to do with anybody sitting in the restaurant. I assumed, hey, I really like this. Maybe somebody else will too.
Yeah.
And I chase that goal, and I'm hard on it. I look at it. I eat every single dish that goes out. I eat in the restaurant as much as anybody, because not only because I enjoy it, but because I'm always checking the dish to make sure that the way my cooks, now that I have a team, are preparing things right, tasting it right. I'm always trying to come up with new ideas and new functions and new events that we can do that helps the town, because if the town does well, I do well.
Yeah.
And I really, that's kind of been my approach, has always been, if the Southwest, because we look at the Southwest as our city.
Yeah.
We look at Swift Current and Gull Lake and Val Marie and Frontier and Climax, East End, Maple Creek, like this whole collection of people. Yeah, each town has its own uniqueness and its own differentiating things, and the people are a little bit different in each town, but they're wonderful. Go to a city. Let's say Calgary, I live there. Englewood versus the Northeast, versus, I'm drawing blanks on every, versus Southwest, Marda Loop. Like, they're all very different, unique neighborhoods all over the city and they offer different things to everybody, but the city is still a whole.
Yeah.
And people don't say I'm from Marda Loop. They say I'm from Calgary.
Yeah.
And so I say I'm from Saskatchewan usually, because I consider this province, it's 1 million people. There's the same amount of people in this province as there is in Calgary.
Yeah.
So let's draw those bridges. There's one thing that Saskies always did well was network. And we put it on our first menu, and our first thing I said, people in this province aren't afraid of a drive. They like it. So if I make something worthwhile for them to drive for, maybe they'll show up.
Yeah.
And we were really like, we can get 20 people at lunchtime, 30 people for lunch, 20 people for supper. We'll do good. Well, lunches were a war. I mean, you're in a town where you can be home in 5 minutes, sit on your own couch, watch the news or the TV show, be around your family. Versus in Calgary, we made all of our money at lunch because you're downtown.
That's the lunch crew.
You're stuck. You're not driving out. You're not going home and back for that. And then we would have to fight for supper. And suppers just got busier. I was doing 6 days a week when we first opened that place. I'd go in at 6 a.m. I'd start prep. I'd prep until 10:30. I would scramble to get the restaurant open for lunch for 11. Just what I mean is like every equipment on, everything stocked. I would cook lunch all the way through. We didn't close in the afternoon then, so I would do from about 11, and I'd cook until 8, 9 o'clock at night whenever it slowed down. Then I cleaned the entire kitchen from top to bottom. I'd get out of there by midnight or 1. I'd go home and do a half hour to an hour of books. At the end of the night, I'd fall asleep at 2. I'd sleep for 4 hours, and I'd go. So Calgary, that first gig was good setup for owning my own restaurant, because I knew I could do that and I could build it. But after a year and a half of that, and I brought in a girl from the States who was supposed to be cordon bleu educated, and she had her degree and everything, but she was lazy.
Yeah.
She wasn't very motivated,
Yeah.
And so for me, it's like, I was like, well, how am I'm going to burn out. So then I started going to the high school, and I'd go after hours because one of the teachers came and said, would you do a cooking class? Not every kid wants to play football or soccer or hockey or gymnastics. Like, some are into art, some are into cooking. We can't do it all. I can't even pay you. There's no budget. I'll give you the home ec room. There's maybe 4 or 5 of them that are interested. Would you do this? I said, sure. So I went in, and once a week for about 6 months, I would do a little cooking class. We made stocks, we made different things. And then one of those girls came and applied at the restaurant. Said, I want to cook. And then one of the guys showed up and wanted to cook. And I started training them, and they were, Sam's still with me now 10 years later. He's my night sous chef.
That's amazing.
Runs the kitchen, and I'm trying to help him get to the goal. He wants to have his own cooking school to teach kids and stuff one day. So we're working. I always tell them, set the goal, work backwards from the goal. So figure out what the goal is. Now let's figure out what we need to do to get there. So we're working on that, and it's a constant. We teach, and there's constant opportunities. I always try to allow room for them to amaze me too.
Yeah. So you opened up that restaurant in Calgary.
Yep.
Didn't like the corporate mentality. Where do we go from there?
So from there, I started bouncing to a few different ones. I spent some time at River Cafe. I was staging. I had friends working at different restaurants, like some of them like Alloy and Blink. And, there was a number of good restaurants then, Catch, coming up. And so I was like getting kind of burned out from this corporate mentality and doing these stages. And then my friend Ryan, who had cooked with me at Salt Lake, he had moved to BC. He had actually gotten pregnant. No, he didn't get pregnant. He got the cash girl pregnant. And they had twins. And so they moved back to Kamloops, where her family was from, to be closer to them. And he started this little restaurant after a year or two. And I was playing music in Calgary actually at the time, which I was doing more of than cooking. And he said, look, would you want to come out here? I just really want a chef, but I don't want you to cook. I actually want a chef to run the front of house. And I was like, oh, that sounds fun. He's like, I can't pay you anything. I was like, well, that sucks, but maybe I want to do this. And then I can't remember really what happened, but there was a trigger moment, and I just said, fuck it, let's go. And so I said, I'm off. So I called him. I said, yeah, here's the deal. I'm moving out there. We packed everything up. I moved out. It was hard. I walked in. The guy that was kind of running the front house at the time, he was like listening to like old jazz. So I'm talking like, I love jazz music, but this was like, I don't even think a library would play this music. It
Yeah.
was so dead. Like the atmosphere in there was so dry, and I was like, this doesn't match your food. What they're trying to do out here, like
Yeah.
let's make it feel like your food. So Ryan kind of gave me free will, and I really can't thank him enough because for me it was an opportunity to play with someone else's money,
Yeah.
to test my ideas. Now, I'm not saying I was messing around and wasting money. I legitimately had what I thought were great ideas that I've been cooking in my head, but I didn't have anywhere to implement them. And now I was being given a chance. The same as I'm talking about those kids. I was being given a room to make a mistake.
Yeah.
And I made some, but I made a hell of a lot more good moves than I made mistakes. And that business got very busy for him and I. We grew into, eventually we were doing all the Rocky Mountaineer food that came through. When the train came through, we'd take that on. We were catering. We catered. There's a picture of me with Gordon Campbell, who was the premier at the time, like shaking hands. Mark, again, we go back to the celebrities. We were doing it really well, and people find that we did Mark Wahlberg's, and Danny Glover shot Shooter out there. Shannon Elizabeth from 90210, the bad girl, she came in. It was my birthday party one night. I had too much to drink, and she came over to give me a hug, and I headbutted her. Like right, Sky. Like she was giving me the cheek to cheeker, and the Sasky guy's like, bang. Like I was 3 beers in. So all of a sudden, like we were back, and it was like we were in downtown Calgary again. And really, what it taught me was, I can do this.
Yeah. And you stayed front of house out there?
Stayed front of house for 2 years, jumped in and out of the kitchen,
awesome.
played music again, was jamming out there, playing tunes and
What
stuff.
are you playing?
I sing and I play guitar and it's always been, and piano, obviously, for my mom put me in there. And
Second passion.
second passion, very close. We're actually getting really close on an album to release here. So we've been playing with a good friend, Aspen Beveridge, and my best friend, Aaron Hagen, who I was talking about that I lived with earlier. And so I got try and keep irons in the fire. It comes back to do what makes you happy in life, because money can come and go, but it's hard to take away the things that make you happy.
Yeah.
You know, people can't come steal my band.
Yeah.
They can take my bank account. They can make it, but I actually might write better music out of that place.
Yeah.
Who knows, right?
Yeah.
So I just feel like you just have to do things that make you happy at the end of the day. And moving back to Shaunavon, I knew at that point I was talking about, I think I'm ready. I don't think you are. I don't think you're ready to come home yet. So there was a very interesting, we were subleasing this house on the river. I think I can tell this story, but Aaron had moved out there because he needed a change from Calgary at this point. So I'd been living with a girl. We broke up. Aaron moved out. We moved in together, and we were subleasing this place from a guy down on the river. He was a regular in the restaurant, nice enough guy. And I was at work one day, and Aaron calls me, and he says, like, the cops are here. I said, what? He goes, the cops are here. So he said, they want to talk to you too. So he put me on the phone. I'm like, fuck is going on, you know? And it turned out the guy we were leasing from, he was selling cocaine.
Yeah.
And he got busted down on the coast. And we weren't listed anywhere on this sublease. They were at his house looking for evidence, and here we were living there.
Yeah.
And they were like, you basically have like 24 hours to get your shit and get out.
Oh,
we were like, what? So Aaron's like, I don't know. I'm like, we could stay. And like, honestly, we found a place to live within 24 hours. I don't know how.
Yeah.
We had this place we're going to move into, but he was like, you know what, the last thing, he's like, I think it's been a good, year and a half or 2 years. I'm ready. He's like, I'm ready to go back. And I think I was too. I loved Kamloops, but I always told people, for a guy from the prairies, it felt like I was living in a fishbowl.
Yeah.
Mountains all around every side. I couldn't see, like, you always just kind of feel like you're trapped in there. And even more so in the winter, trying to drive the number one or the Coke. Like, I mean, it was a risky proposition every time you got on the highway.
Yeah.
And I had some very close calls where I'm lucky to be alive driving those highways. And so I was like, you know what? I think I'm ready too. I'm ready to get out of here. And so I said to Ryan, it's been sliced. Thank you so much. The restaurant was doing fairly well for itself, but I also knew it wasn't my restaurant. And that's not me being a jerk to him. I was ready to go do something for myself again. I'd spent 3-4 years helping my friend, and it had built to a good point. And I think it was probably time for our relationship too, as friends, for me to move on too.
Yeah.
And I came back I was coming back to Sasky. We stopped in Calgary, stayed at my buddy Pat's for the weekend. And somehow, in a city of 1 million people found out I was back, and the phone rang from 3-4 different restaurants. One of them being the Metropolitan Group, and they said, "Listen, we've got this other restaurant. It's in the Plains Midstream building. It's called Seven. It's not doing well. We tried this new concept. It didn't go well. Would you come cook with us?" I said, "Yeah, you know what? That sounds all right." So I went and sat down with them. It was a good deal. My good friend Tim Shaunavon, who had been my day sous chef at Salt Lick when I was there, was the head chef there. So it's a small industry, right? You know, the people you're getting in with. He was stoked to have me come in, take on the night kitchen. They just needed help. I brought my team of people that I knew because I'd been in the city for so many years cooking. So I started phoning my cooks that were
they
scattered.
gave you lots of latitude. They said, just get in there and do it.
Get in there and go, but you're kind of cooking his menu. And so I did that for a few months, and then they made it difficult. They actually sat Tim and I down at the same time, and they fired Tim with me sitting there and said, "We're going to make you the chef." And so then Tim, I think, thought that I had something maybe to do with it, which I never did. This was just how the corporate mentality operated, right? They were pitting us against each other. And I at the time needed the job. I had just moved to the city and had rent and stuff now. And so I kind of took the stance in my head. Maybe it was a justification. Like, I'm not the one firing anyone here. I'm here.
Yeah.
And I'm sorry. And I didn't mean for this to happen. And if it wasn't me, it probably would have been another guy they fired you for. And it was tough. Tim and I are very good friends still. He's got a catering business called Cut Catering out in Medicine Hat. Highly recommend anybody who watches this, give him a call, check it out. Deadly, deadly awesome. Him and his wife, Katie, are two wonderful people. Like, so there's definitely, as I tell this, you can hear I have a bit of regret about the way that situation went down. And knowing what I know now, I probably would have handled it differently then. But it gave me an opportunity to cook. And then they brought in a new general manager whose name was David Singleton, who's a close friend and really kind of opened me up to a different level of service. Him and Will Dunbar, when I was downtown. Will went on to run Nine Steakhouse at the Palms in Las Vegas, which was a pretty big deal. So he was coming from like Joe Forte's in Vancouver. So I got to just sponge up all this. Like, Will could saber champagne bottles, and like he just knew all of the ins of like that next level of service. And so to me, it was never about. There was a lot of education on dollars and cents and spreadsheets and making money in P&Ls. And I'm probably successful to this day because I understand that side of the business well. But what Will and David opened me up to was that next level. I hadn't dined in a lot of high-end restaurants at that point. I had been eating all kinds of food because now my mind was blasted wide open. Yeah. And I really wanted to eat everywhere and as much as I could. But I didn't have the money to go to a lot of high-end restaurants. Well, they started showing me how we take care of people at that level, and I fell in love with that. Yeah. I thought, why is this restricted to people that only have like a lot of money? So fast forward a month or so down the road, they brought Michael Noble in at that point to work with me in the kitchen as we redid the entire menu. And the other chef at the time was a night chef was like, "What's this bullshit? Like, we don't need this guy." And I said, like, this is one of the best chefs in our country. Like, he's cooked on Iron Chef. He's cooked at the Bocuse d'Or. He's worked for the Earls Group. He's ran like super high-end hotels in Vancouver. Like, who cares? Like, we're getting paid anyway. Yeah. If they're bringing this guy in and we're going to learn something, and not every dish on the menu is mine, and maybe he has 3 or 4 dishes, like, what do I care? Do you think they're going to put his name on the menu? People are still going to think it's kind of, I mean, it's like being a cover band a little bit. As long as you're a really great cover band, it can be a lot of fun, right? Yeah. So I said, like, I'm down for this. Well, Michael and he taught me a lot. I really consider him a very strong mentor. He really opened my eyes up to some different food and flavor combinations and how to bring things into a dish and different ways of leveling a flavor in, like utilizing the same ingredient, different textures and ways. And so I just, like, it was like I was lit back up again.
And still no formal education all these years.
None. Didn't. No, I read. I mean, the onset of the internet to me was like, you can learn whatever you want.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing. This is a better education that you would get than a lot of culinary schools.
I think so. I still learned a lot of those things, and I bought the culinary school textbooks and read so that I could decipher the bullshit. Yeah. Because the internet is full of BS and opinions, and I wanted to bring as many in and get as close to the truth as I possibly could on understanding concepts and how you make certain things. And so it was just with passion. And then, of course, as I earned a little more money, I started eating at nicer restaurants. And whenever I traveled, that was part of my thing, was like, I don't care where we're going. I don't care if I'm on a golf trip with my buddies. We're going out one night to a nice restaurant. We can go to pubs the rest of the time and whatever else. But I want to go eat at one or two nice restaurants. And I have a lot of friends that are really into great food and dining. So
it's funny bringing the Sasky boys, because a lot of them are just like, pub, let's go. And then I was lucky because my parents thought it was important that we travel as children. They took us on a few nice holidays, and my dad always liked to dine, and he would take us to some nice restaurants. And then you're just like, same thing. Holy hell.
Yeah.
This is different. This is a really nice plate of food. And when I first ate at your restaurant, that's exactly where I went in my head.
Yeah.
This is like that.
Cool.
Yeah.
Yeah. And that's what we're trying to build. I think that was for me, it was like this experience, like when done correctly in a restaurant, can change someone's day. It can take them somewhere. Maybe it tastes like something their grandma made, or it takes them to a brilliant spot or something wonderful. Or if they're grieving, it gives them a moment of respite. A nice plate of food can warm you up and feel good. Yeah. It's like a song. You know, it can just transport you immediately. Yeah. And sometimes doing it really well creates a new memory for that person. And we've had people get engaged and married and buried and everything else in our restaurant. I've watched kids now, being 12 years, start sitting at my chef's bar there, the theater kitchen, when they were like 12 years old. And now I'm watching them graduated off at university and doing things, and they come back and they share their stories and their life with me. And like, honestly, there's a lot of hard days at everyone's job, but I get a lot of that, which, you know, sometimes in the middle of a hard day, you're like, how did I get so lucky? Yeah. Because I'm pretty sure the bank teller's not getting that same experience.
No.
You know, and that's not me negging on their job. I think it's just, I tried to sell radio advertising for the Golden West crew when I was younger, and it's not like I dodged a bullet or anything. Yeah. It just wasn't for me. I feel so lucky that I got to end up doing what I do now. And I guess I chose it, and I forged a path that didn't exist. And I took a road definitely less traveled. And after, a couple years with Seven, Christy, my wife now, You
met her while you're working there?
I actually met her while I was working at the Metropolitan Grill on Stephen Avenue. She was serving at the Earls in Bankers Hall there. I don't know if you've ever been right down Calgary on Stephen Avenue. They have those fake metal trees right at the two Bankers Halls, and there was an Earls there, and it had fuel next door. And actually, we are one of the only bands to ever play in Earls, because we rocked that I think they call it V-Bar now or something else, but it was a nightclub next to it. And we played there a couple times. But yeah, the reason I played there is because she served in that bar, and I wanted to show off and peacock a little bit, right? And so my buddy came over and introduced me to her, and I kind of was like a love at first sight thing. And she said, "Oh, I'm engaged to so-and-so." And he was like the manager of the HMV in the mall just down the road. I was like, wow, I'm just some fucking cook, you know? So, but I stuck at it, and we crossed paths a number of times over the years, and suddenly we'd always stayed in contact. She'd moved back to Vancouver, and she's graphic design and marketing.
Oh, you really drug her fish out of water, hey?
Yeah, she's from White Rock, actually. So even more pretty, I think, than Vancouver. So, and we just kind of started chatting, and she said, I'm kind of she was working for a supplement company called Nutribolics. They're pretty global, and she wrote and created a magazine for them, and she had been interviewing guys like why can't I don't watch a ton of MMA, UFC, but she did Ray Lewis from the Ravens, because I love football, Anderson Silva, like, so she was interviewing all these, like, she was telling me these stories. I'm like, she's so big time, like I'm way out of my league. But if the chat has taught you anything here, it's that I don't think anything's ever out of my league. I just need to work harder to get to it, you know? So I was like, okay, we're going to stick to this one. And so we were chatting, and she's like, I'm kind of done with like being in Vancouver. There's lots of jobs in Calgary. I'm thinking of moving out there. Maybe we should try dating and give it a go. And I was like, that sounds awesome. 100%. I'm all in. At this point, I was back at The 7 had closed. They kind of closed it on New Year's Eve one night, and midnight moved us out. It's that's a whole nother story, and another reason why I'm not a corporate guy.
Yeah.
And they shuffled me back to the Met, and I wasn't really happy, but I was a good gig. I was making good money, you know, $80,000-$90,000 a year. So in your early 20s, that's pretty good money.
Heck yeah.
Or late 20s maybe at this point. And so we kept chatting, and she said, "Listen, I'm going to be actually going down to Vegas for this big convention, and rooms paid for, everything's good. Why don't you just hop a flight and come down?" I said, "That sounds awesome. What's the date?" She told me the date. I said, "Wait one sec." I went to my calendar. I said, "I'm actually in Las Vegas that weekend." The guy who introduced us, Cody McCordo, is a good friend of mine. I said, his nickname was Whispers. The kind of dogs like this. Mm-hmm. And I said, "Whispers is having a stag there, and we're going to be down there anyway." And she's like, "Shut up. We should get married while we're there." I said, "I'd marry you. Be careful. I'll marry you." So we get down there, and we're doing the stag thing, partying pretty good. And she's working. And so the night, I think it was our first night, she got done her work, and she came to find us where we were gambling at. And I'm going to put $20 in this VLT, and we spun, and we won $40. And I said, "Let's take 20. Let's go to the roulette table." And we put all 40 on red, because she has red hair.
Yeah. Yeah.
First spin, red. So now we got $80. So I said, "I'm going to take 40, and I'm going to put it on each of my lucky numbers." Now, this is weird and probably controversial, but it was always been my numbers before then. They're 9 and 11. And I always looked at a clock, everything. It would always be at 9/11. Long before that number's been associated with the terrible things that happened. But we put 40 on 9, 40 on 11, and the first spin 9 hit. So we just won 40-1.
Yeah.
A lot of money.
Yeah. Yeah.
For us, anyway.
Hell yeah.
So we rented a limo.
Yeah.
We got drunk. We got champagne. And we said, "Let's go get married."
Yeah.
So we were going down to get married. And then they said, the guy was like almost done. He goes, "I don't want to burst your guys' bubble, but they don't marry drunk people in Las Vegas anymore. Like, you got to go get your marriage license at town hall. Like, if you've been drinking, they're not even going to issue it. Probably because they've had to issue a lot of divorce certificates the next day." So I said, "Okay, whatever." I was a little bit defeated, but we finished partying the night, went home, went about our day. Then the next day, I said, "Listen, the guys are going out for dinner. We're going to go to Prime at Bellagio," which, if nobody's familiar, it's right in front of the fountains. It's a steakhouse there.
Yeah. Is it still Prime? It was Italian.
It might be something else now. It's Vegas, right? Yeah. So this is a few years back anyway. And so she said, "Oh, I'll come for dinner with you guys." So she met us. We were staying at the Palms Suites or whatever. We go to Bellagio. We go in for dinner, and they all go in ahead. And as I'm walking past the maitre d', I said, "I need a favor. Can you go cut me 2 strips of butcher twine about 4 inches long, and bring them to me at the table?" I says, "Okay, whatever." I said, "I'll explain later." So we go, we have the whole dinner, and then at the end of the meal, everyone's getting done. I get up, and she's going to pay the bill. I said, "No, actually, I think I have something better." And I got down on one knee, and I said, "Listen," in the middle of the restaurant, full restaurant, I said, "I don't have anything. I don't own a house. I don't have anything. But I know for a fact, like, we've talked so much, like, I know I love you so much, and I know that we're going to have a great life." And I tied this piece of butcher twine, or I held it out. I said, "If you'll agree to marry me, I'll go marry you right now, tonight. And we'll figure the rest out.
Yeah.
We'll figure life out." And that's 14 years ago.
That's a hell of a story.
So we've been figuring it out. It took us a while to have our daughter, and just like anybody that dates or anything else, we figure it out, and we stand by each other. And I would say for me, it's like 95% good and 5% bad still. I don't know how she puts up with me.
You didn't tell her, by the way, you have to live in Shaunavon.
No, actually. So funny enough, after we got married, I wanted to bring her home to meet my family, and vice versa. None of our family knew. Yeah. How do you tell your family you just eloped and married somebody you've never dated? Like, my parents are great, wonderful people. I know my mom, I think there would have been some judgment cast. So I wanted them to meet her first before they had any predisposed. So I brought her out to Shaunavon as my girlfriend. I've been dating this girl. And it was funny because my dad actually came up to meet us in Calgary one night. And Christy came out, my new girlfriend, and she said, my mom texted and said to my dad, like, how is his new girlfriend? How did she put it? How is his new girlfriend? And my dad said, Well, yeah, I think, yeah, they're very much in love, but she's a bit, my band was playing and they were at a show and she's like, I think she's a bit of a fangirl though. Like he didn't know all this other stuff. Like, why is she looking at him with doe eyes the whole time and everything else? And it was funny because we were driving with him and he played it. He meant to like read his message and he played it over the vehicle through the Bluetooth. And she was in the car and heard all this. And I was like, so we had a good laugh. So then I said, okay, well, we'll be home next weekend. We'll see you, you know. And so we came home with my girlfriend to meet them. And
Wife.
yeah, they didn't know this yet.
Yeah,
It was
no,
my
I know,
girlfriend
yeah.
still, right? It's my wife. But we have a good weekend and we're leaving, getting ready to pull out of Shaunavon. And we're kind of at Main Street, right by the police station for those who know Shaunavon. And there's like kids riding back from the pool, no parents in sight on their bikes, with towels around them. Like,
Yeah.
my childhood, like you were kind of policed by the whole town. Like
Yeah.
mom and dad couldn't always watch you, but somebody was.
Yeah.
Believe it. And she said, it's such a beautiful town. I can see us raising a family there one day. And I said, well, I got an idea.
Yeah. Yeah.
And I've been cooking this idea ever since I've been over to Europe that I would love to come home and open my own restaurant here one day. I'd love to use local Sasky beef. I'd love to work with products and make things from scratch and do this. So I pitched her the idea. She loved it. We both decided, okay, so I quit my job with the Met Group and took a job at Notable. Michael Noble had opened in Bowness.
Yeah.
Amazing steakhouse. They actually just celebrated, I think, 15 years. They're a year or two older than Harvest now. And they've kind of rebranded. He's got 2 restaurants and is just killing it. And just a wonderful dude and a very close friend and a great chef. And so he was super, him and David was the manager at Singleton there. So David brought us both in, and Christy had served years prior, but hadn't in a while. And she'd been trying to find work in Calgary, but of course there's a million jobs, but there's also a million people applying for those jobs, right? So I think that's what people don't realize. It sometimes looks like a wealth in the city, but you're also up against 5 or 10 or 100 times the competition for that single job. So you better have your A game. So we built the business plan while we served for a year. We learned each other inside and out in that time. Like I remember at one point they cut her shifts because her wine knowledge wasn't quite up to par. And she was upset. She came home and she was pissed, and rightfully so, because she's like, you knew when you hired me I didn't have all this, and now you're cutting me back, and we need to make money. We have rent to make. And I said, well, stick it to him. She said, what do you mean? I said, study it, learn it. So good.
Yeah.
And come back and shove it right back in their face.
Yeah.
Like not in a mean way, but like show up and show out.
Yeah.
Like to me, they're coaching you a little bit, and you've one of 2 options. You can roll over and die and say, poor me, and boo-hoo it, or you crush it. And she crushed it.
Yeah.
She learned that thing. She probably knows more about wine than I do.
Yeah.
And she took that experience, and when we opened our restaurant, she taught her employees better, so they wouldn't have to go through that.
Yeah.
And she understood, and she knew what it felt like to be on the receiving end of that. So really, when we say we've had no education, we've had probably a master's degree from the School of Hard Knocks.
Yeah.
Because we've taken all of those things that I think some people look at as setbacks or roadblocks or reasons to quit, and we've found a way to dig deeper and a reason to beat it. And every time we've beaten one of those things, we've come out the other side way stronger.
Yeah.
So it's been kind of the tie-in. So yeah, after a year of writing the business plan and going through all that stuff, and I think it was equally hard for her because I was doing really well. Yeah. I was a kitchen guy. I understood the food. I understood restaurants. I'd been doing it. That had been my job. She had gone to do graphic design and marketing. She hadn't been in the restaurant industry in a while. So, but she crushed it. And I knew, I'm like, this is the girl like for me, and this is who my business partner and life partner is going to be. And we see things the same way, and we opened the business, and I know there was some tough days for her when you're working 16 hours in a day.
Oh yeah.
You don't have a lot left.
Yeah.
For people at the end of the day.
So you moved home.
We moved home.
And you got the building.
We built it.
Which was an old folks' home? Or
no, it's actually my dad's optometric building.
Oh,
so it was a doctor's office, and then the dentist office is in the back where we've opened the bar. So we actually looked at a couple. There was Jim Bennison at the time owned the. It's right on the corner now. It's the old post office, and it was where Golden West, like the Eagle and stuff, had their office, and it was this beautiful brick building, and it actually had the old jail cell in the bottom. And I thought of like apartments up top, so we were gonna reno the upstairs, live upstairs, have the restaurant on the main floor. It was gonna be, we just couldn't come together with them. I think we were like $10,000 or $20,000 apart. I know there's someone out there right now saying, "Why did you just spend it?" Like, when you're opening a business, $20,000 is a lot of money. That's a lot of forks. That's a lot of plates. That's a lot of chairs, table. Like, it's everything. Yeah. So we were really trying to do this without a lot of money, our own money. And
plus, you're taking a risk.
We went to the bank, and the bank was like, "Get the hell out of here. You're opening a restaurant. We don't even want to talk to you."
Shaunavon.
Yeah, this is going to fail. So we went to our friends. This is what we're doing. No, get the hell out of here. This is going to fail. No way. Not a chance. No one's drinking nice wine. No one's drinking beer on tap. I said, when you guys go to Vegas or Calgary or wherever, like, you don't get a pint of beer. Would you drink Bud Light in a bottle or a can the entire time you're gone? Like, is that your identity, or do you not want to try something more and do something more? And they're like, "Oh no, for sure. When we're there, we do it." I'm like, "Well, then why wouldn't you do it here?" Yeah. And I'd never really even considered the tourism side, which we'll get into. But I was like, you know what? We're gonna partner up with ag. Oil and gas was doing well at the time, but I was like, I'm not just going after oil patch guys with burnable money, because in my head, it also meant that we were disposable as a restaurant. When that money left, or if they felt like destroying something in the restaurant, it's disposable. And I didn't want to be a disposable place. I wanted to be something that lasted at least for a while, and somewhere I didn't have the grandeur that it is now, but I just wanted it to be a nice restaurant. I wanted people to come to my town and say, "Oh, there is more to small towns than a beef dip and French fries or a clubhouse." I love those things, but you want to create a restaurant like that? Go ahead. There's 7 million of them in this country. Yeah. There's nobody coming to your town to eat at that restaurant. They're coming there because they have to. This is the only place they can eat. I wanted them to come because they wanted to. Because they wanted to come down the road. And I didn't feel there was much competition for us outside of home cooks. I honestly didn't. I didn't feel threatened by anything in Swift Current or Regina or Saskatoon. I didn't feel threatened by anything. Calgary was the closest place I thought we'll have any competition. And that wasn't me being, like, I just knew what was out there. Yeah. It wasn't like I'm better than everyone. It was like, no one's doing this.
It still is hard to find.
It's hard. It's because it's hard. Because it's hard. It's harder to make food from scratch than it is to buy pre-made, pre-frozen, pre-bagged crap. It's harder to hire a chef that has the skills to do those things than it is to bring in numpties that are just learning and say, "Here it is, set a timer, cook it."
Or a menu that's changing with the seasons. Like, that's one thing I've noticed is that, today we have mushrooms with our steaks that are local and freshly picked. I'm like, you don't see that anywhere.
Yeah, we try as much as we can, you know. We're not perfect. We have to get romaine from Salinas like everyone else, but we've now found it in the summertime from John George and Climax. So 12 years in, we are still discovering people in our backyard that are growing and producing things. And it takes a bit more work. And I think that's the problem, is everyone wants it easy these days. And I'm just such a non-believer in easy. Easy is the path to hell, as far as I'm concerned. Easy is giving it all away. It's giving away everything we want to make things easier, but we now have no control over the things that are entering. I mean, go to your grocery store. The cheapest stuff in the grocery store is the worst crap for you. Yep. And the stuff that's healthy and good for you costs money. Even dealing with, like, my food service provider, Cisco, who's been a wonderful partner. They have a Cisco rewards system. I buy premium food. I spend a lot of money buying the best stuff we can get through them, whether that's olive oils or anything else that aren't produced here. I get nothing for rewards because the reward points come from Knorr and Lipton and all the pre-made stuff, and we don't buy it. And so they've been wonderful at partnering, making sure they bring me up to a rider game or do whatever else. But that's, to me, that's like a microcosm of it. It's like you're being bought. Yeah. And you, yes, there's some ease and function with that purchase, but you're not paying for it with money. You're paying for it with your health and with the way you feel and the accessibility we have to things. And then you look at the pandemic when supply chains broke down and all of a sudden everything's through the roof, or nowadays with tariffs.
What'd you guys do through the pandemic? Did you cater more, or did you just...
Yeah, we bobbed and weaved. We didn't actually cater much because there wasn't weddings and stuff all dried up. So we created, at the time, there wasn't there was only one, HelloFresh, which was like a meal kit delivery service.
We used it when we had our first baby.
Yeah.
That like was
We
like
still
our first
use,
few
we
weeks,
use good food actually on the weekend, my wife and I, because we're in Shaunavon, the grocery store is barely
Rusty uses HelloFresh, guys.
open. HelloFresh and good food. Yes, both of you.
Premium chef.
We love them.
Yeah,
And
that's
actually, I'll speak to them. The choice is great. When you're just two people or three people in a house,
It's quick.
grocery shopping is hard because there's always way too much in your cart. We spend, $150, $200 a week, and we get four meals, 5 meals out of it, and I don't have to think, which for me on the weekend is great.
Yeah.
This is what we're eating. They're done. I can cook them with my daughter. So yeah, so we, in the pandemic, I was like seeing a bit of this HelloFresh thing, but for me, it wasn't like, how do I make money? Honestly, the only thing I thought of is how do I stay connected to my guests? How do I not have them forget? Because I'd had a group come in when I was working in corporate in Calgary, and they went through a bunch of things. And one of the big things they touched on, and I remembered it, was they said, Coca-Cola or McDonald's, like billions served, huge companies, the biggest advertisers as well. They're already the biggest. Why are they advertising? Why do they spend so much money? So you don't forget.
Yeah.
So you don't forget. And that stuck with me, was like, I don't have an advertising budget. I don't have all these things I can do. If people can't get to me, I don't want them to forget about us in a year or 2 years or whenever this is over. I want us to be the first thing they're like, if I'm going out for dinner now, I can't wait to get back to Harvest. So I created a menu of like 8 or 10 of our most popular dishes. And I bought everything I needed through Uline, disposable ice bags, freezer bags. We invested some money that way. I created the recipe cards. We printed them. We built a website and we sold it. And I drove once or twice a week. I would drive East End up through Console, Cypress Hills, Maple Creek, Gull Lake, Swift Current, back down Cadillac, loop back home to Shaunavon. And I would
be delivering
deliver meals to your front door.
There you go.
So there was a lot of people. Swift Current was incredible sponsors. I'd usually have 30 to 40 stops in Swift Current, and my vehicle was loaded and it was hot, and I'd be running and I'd ring the doorbell and everyone was social distancing, so I had to step back. But we made no money. We might have lost some doing it, but we stayed in touch with our guests. Yeah. So mission was accomplished. Knowing it now, I might do a pop-up, like Harvest is closed and we're popping up an Italian pizza joint, or we're popping up a barbecue spot or whatever. Just simplify it, I think. Yeah. But it was the best idea I had at the time.
Yeah.
So we took the best idea we had and we executed it as best we could, and we got through.
Yeah.
Yeah. So awesome. We survived. We did. We just knew this isn't a time to make money. It wasn't about, everybody had an opinion, and actually we got pregnant right then. That was like, I went out and cooked in a competition in Toronto. And I didn't finish in the top 3, and I'm very competitive. So it's not even a matter of whether I deserve to win or not. I want to. And if I don't.
Remember hearing that you were in that. What was that called?
It was part of Restaurants Canada. So there's been a few, because I've done gold medal plates, 2016 Regina, and we won gold there. Yeah. And then that goes to the Canadian Culinary Championships, and we didn't do very well the first time there. I'd never cooked competitively. And then just recently, Saskatoon, they've rebranded. It's called Great Kitchen Party now. And we went to Saskatoon. We won there against like some of the top chefs in their city, and went back on. And we were, if I can believe what I was told afterwards, we were easily second, potential for first. But we hit the black box, and we decided we were going to make a pierogi. Ryan Clark, the story coming full circle, I brought him out to cook with me as my mentor and my chef. And I had 30 minutes to make a pierogi from scratch with sake lees. So the leftover ferment for making sake proved to be a little bit more of a challenge than we were up for. And we were about 3 minutes past the timeline, and we never recovered from the points we lost. So. Yeah. Oh. But it's like running a 100 meter at the Olympics. You trip coming out of the starting block. It doesn't matter if you're the fastest guy or not. You've lost. Yeah. You're done. Yeah. And that's when you're cooking and competing at that level. It's not about how everyone's perfect and great. It's about not making a mistake. Yeah, exactly. So we made a mistake and we learned from it, but we were pretty proud of our showing there. And so this Toronto one was another one kind of after gold medal plates in 2016 and not doing well. I thought I need to enter some more competitions just just to get better.
Yeah.
And I entered in one, it was part of the Culinary Federation, which is kind of like a cook's union, for lack of a better term. And I went out and competed there, and we lost. And my good friend Derek, who had been my sous chef when I was at 7 in Calgary, he was from Toronto. He was now moved back there and living there. And I was dejected, and my wife is amazing, was like, we are not fucking moping around the house. We're going out.
Yeah.
And Derek's coming, and he's coming to, I've already organized it. Derek's coming to pick you up. And I was like, oh, I haven't seen Derek. That'll be great. And he's taken us to some of the funnest, coolest restaurants. We went to a place that looked like a bodega, little storefront.
Yeah.
And you went through like meat curtains, and in the back was a massive, beautiful speakeasy with like full Chinese influence. So the menu is like Chinese food, but done like really like bar snack style and really good, and cocktails. And then we went to a French wine bar, and then we went back to the house and we made a baby that night.
Yeah.
And so we got pregnant, and we left Toronto to come back, and stuff was just rumbling at that point, because it must have been like January, February. You know, it was, they were talking about shutting things down. Shit was happening in Italy now at that point. And
so what year was your daughter born?
2020.
Okay.
Yeah. So this was like January of 2020, like right at the start of it. And then she was, essentially we joked that she's a pandemic baby. She wasn't made during the pandemic like a lot of them were, with people being at home so much, but she was just before. And so then we got back once we found out she was pregnant. We were, of course, ecstatic. We'd been trying for years at that point. And that's hard in a small town, because everyone's like, when are you having kids? When are you having kids? You know, what's going on? You're not having kids? What are you doing? Like,
stop asking.
Maybe we're trying, or maybe it's not going well. Like, you know, and maybe we don't want to. And like, that's, which we did. But I started thinking, what about the people that just don't want to have kids?
Yeah.
That's fine too. Like, shouldn't have to feel like you have to. That was always my thing leaving a town. It was like, you have to get married right away. You have to have kids. You have to do this. And I'm like, you want to screw your life up and miss out on all the good things? Do that right away.
Yeah.
There ain't no rush for that. That stuff always is going to be there. You know what you should do? Go figure yourself out. Travel around the world a little bit. Figure out who you are, what's important to you. Yeah. Now have a wife, now have kids, or a husband, or whatever you're into. Like, I don't care, but I just feel like so many people rush in and they're divorced 3 years, 5. It used to be 10 years later. Now it's like, now I've literally catered weddings, and the next year they're getting split. Oh, I know. And I'm like, I feel bad, because the money that goes into it too. And the stuff, I'm like, nowadays, like, just, anyway, that's no time or place. We chose to go a different route, and we've been very happy with our decision for what people want to know. So we got back. She's pregnant. Nobody really knows. Everyone had an opinion during the pandemic, but the restaurant was not the place, because we were exposed to everybody coming in and everybody's opinion. Some people were very respectful and were, doing what was asked of them. Other people felt they knew differently, and that's fine. I think
in what regard?
Masks aren't important. This isn't for real. But nobody knew that at the time. That was all speculation on both sides.
Yes.
For us, we were pregnant finally. We're going to have a baby. We need to do what's safe. So if it's normal times, you're not going to go hang out with a bunch of people with the flu. Yeah. Yeah. Because that's not great for a pregnant woman. If they get sick while they're pregnant, things can happen. So we decided that at that point, she probably shouldn't be working in the restaurant anymore. And Christy started working from home, which was really, I think, a hard time for her, being pregnant. So you're not feeling awesome all the time. And you're isolated now. And we're not allowed to see people. And she's very close to her family, and we can't go see them. And we just couldn't do anything. And I was working like a dog. We'd laid off most of the staff temporarily, like, so they could go on whatever employment assistance was out there, which, thank God, like, I know some people disagreed, but like, we weren't busy enough to keep them working. Yeah. We needed a way to keep them, that we couldn't lose all our staff, because if things came back. Yeah.
The restaurants, the few that made it, they took advantage of everything the government provided, and they absolutely had to. We had to. We just paid back our loan like in time and got like that done, but we needed that. Yeah. And it's still like, this is the first year that feels like we're back. Yeah. Since the pandemic. I'm not even bullshitting. No, like the last couple, like we're up 20% over last year this year. Yeah. And it felt busy last year, but now we're back. Like now the weddings are back. Now the catering, the bigger jobs are back. That stuff's all
So we just took on like survival mode.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's whatever we got to do to survive, to have this happy, healthy baby, to do all the things. And we were a geriatric pregnancy because I'm in my 40s, my wife's in her 30s. Oops, at the time. Good. And we were like, oh, geriatric. Like, is there not a better word? Like maybe a mature pregnancy?
Yeah.
Like,
it's life experience.
Yeah. So, but it was cool because because it was a geriatric, we had to get ultrasound every month.
Mm-hmm.
You know, like, so we got to be kept in the loop the entire time. And we ended up having the most amazing, beautiful baby girl who's going to be 5 this December and going into kindergarten, and who's awesome and has kind of completely changed the way I look at what's important and what I'm doing things for now. And
I remember when we were sitting in there, another welder and I sitting there drinking the French presses of coffee you guys would bring out, which I hope you still do because I love that. With the
fresh
Baileys.
Coffee. Thank my mom for that, because I went to a million restaurants when she was young, and the first question, do you have coffee? How fresh is it? Yeah. And she would make them a brand new whole pot. So I was like, we're doing the French press because we're not going in the espresso route. We want it as fresh as possible.
And you bring the timer out still? No, for 2 minutes? Yeah, that's a timer trick. So we'd sit at the bar and we'd just drink way too much coffee and Baileys. I don't know why. I just loved having that. And then I'd see your wife grab a bottle of wine. You're done cooking. You two sneak out the back door. The staff shutting it down. And that always stuck with me. I was like, this is awesome. Yeah. This is a great environment. You slaved in front of everybody because you're cooking in front of the whole restaurant. You guys are going, you see the food get prepared, which is different. Everything's exposed and you guys are going. It's hot kitchen. And the service staff is always, you take obviously care in your service staff because they're exceptional. Like a high level service in Saskatchewan's hard to find. Usually it's just like, hey, what's your order? Here's your meal. Have a nice day. What's your plans for the rest of the night? But your service is obviously, you take care. And
we preach for them to be authentic and genuine, but educated. Yeah. So that's it. Like, you're a server at the table. Like, I always tell them, like, do you want to be a server? What is serving? Like, what's the root? Servitude. Mm-hmm. So what is that? You're a slave. Yeah. Do you want to be someone's slave, like in servitude while you're there for them? Or do you want to be like a guide, like a host, and take them through our restaurant and tell them where, instead of the washrooms are there, like, just follow me right down this hallway.
You're facing the experience as much as the plate of food is.
Yeah. They're part of it. There's, a few things. There's your atmosphere, there's your food, and there's your service. Those are the 3 majors, right? Mm-hmm. So when you review any place, that's usually the 3 things that come up for a restaurant. Yeah. So what do those things mean? So we always talk to them little things like, hey, how is everything? That's a terrible question. What are you asking? Are you asking how the level of the music is, how the temperature in the room is, how their life is personally going at home, or how they're enjoying? So ask, how is your steak cooked for you today? Yeah. Hey, I know we talked about the spice and you were worried, and what do you think of that? And like, guide people and get them out of there. Like, oh, can I have the brisket? But I hate potato salad. I just want to have French fries. Have you had our potato salad? Yeah. Like, we do it a little different. It's not egg and mayo and everything. Like, do you want to, and that's their job, is to kind of like help guide you along the way. And I got that from high-end dining. Like, you're at a high-end restaurant. It's like, what do you need to have an amazing, it should be nothing about you working. You're here spending money. Yeah. Let us take care of you. Yeah. For the next little bit. Yeah. And if you don't want us to take care of you, then don't come here and ask me for the discounted version, because we didn't create it. That's already out there in abundance. Yeah. My wife and I, we like to go out and have the same thing, have the odd nice meal for in a city. We'll go out, and we went to one in Saskatoon. Supposed to be nice, right on the river. This is great. Sit in there, nice place. And we're going to do the tasting menu, because if we go somewhere, they got it. Let's see the tasting menu. And house red. What's the red? Blank. I'm like, okay, we're not like, and I'm not snobby or nothing like that, but at least your staff should know what the red is served with the tasting menu. Like, come on, it's kind of it's paired. Yeah. Yeah. What are we going to be enjoying tonight for wines with our meal? Like, and I'm in a nice restaurant, at least. And clearly it was an oversight by training your new person, but that doesn't happen in your place. I know that. And so, we make mistakes. Yeah. And I always tell people that it's hard because people always take it so personal when a mistake happens, as in like, we did this to ruin your night. And we definitely didn't. No. I can promise you that. We wouldn't be in business very long if we're in the business of ruining people's nights. If it's just not for you, have I kicked people out of my restaurant? Yeah, about a handful over the years. You're being rude and belligerent. There's no bill. There's no nothing. Grab your stuff and get out. I don't want you here. Go find somewhere else to be miserable.
Mm-hmm.
Why'd you even leave your house?
Yeah.
If you're this miserable, just stay
Wow.
home. Sometimes we make mistakes and we do our best to handle them. I've always told the staff, try and deal with it in the building before they leave. We had just a review on the weekend while I was away catering, and you look at it and you're like, there's opportunities here. Like one of the comments was there was dust on the fan next to them, and their brisket was excellent, but they didn't like the fish, and their pork was overcooked. And, you feel awful because in that same night I had 5 other 5-star reviews about everything. So it's for whatever reason. And it always seems to happen this way.
It's because
it all happens at one table.
It's because when you set yourself to a higher bar, you're inviting that stuff, because now people are really going to dissect you.
Yes, 100%.
And, if you're just a mom and pop serving burgers, and like you say, the clubhouse, they accept the dust on the fan doesn't matter suddenly.
Yeah.
But now they're coming to pick on Rusty if we can. They're auditing. Now they're auditors.
Which is hard because I don't price my food like if I was really, I feel like we're just slightly above mom and pop pricing.
Yeah.
I mean, I feel like we're very fair. I feel like we're at the Earl's Cactus Club price point, maybe less on some stuff, but better service, better food, in my opinion.
A lot of restaurants would charge more for your menu. I know that.
I think so. I think so.
Yeah.
And so I've always felt like I've got programs, like we know I worked for those companies. I have a budget sheet that I follow, and there's certain cost percentages I need to hit to make sure we can make money. We also pay our staff a little bit better. I mean, after the pandemic, I immediately moved everyone to $15 an hour that was serving. I think at the time it was 12 or 13. We have the option for them to come 50-50 on full medical and dental benefits working with us. So we pay 50%, they pay 50% of their premium.
Wow.
So we take care of our people because our people take care of our guests.
Not a lot of servers are getting benefits, bussing tables, and a lot of restaurants.
And we have our tip out is actually also based on tips made, not on net sales. So most restaurants have a house tip out of anywhere from 4 to 7% of their net sales. So if you shank that server on a tip or whatever, they're usually paying out of their pocket because the sales are there. And I know some guys justify it by saying, well, if the service is good, they should never get bad tips. That's not necessarily true. Some people come in and they have an attitude of, I don't believe in tipping. And I'm fine. I get you on that end. But then I'll charge you what I would have to charge you to pay my staff a living wage and do everything else. Yeah. And I guarantee you, if we went away from tipping, your burgers are going to be a lot more than $23 or $24 a burger. Yeah. I promise you. Yeah. So if someone says, I don't agree with tipping or I don't believe in it, that's okay. I understand that. But we do. Mm-hmm. We do tip here. Mm-hmm. And until it's totally shifted, then maybe you should just stay home. Yeah. And no one should look after you. Because if you expect someone to take care of you, whether that's greeting you, seating you, cooking your food, making sure the toilets are cleaned, making sure there's fresh toilet paper, all of those things that goes into it, they cost money. Yeah, nice hand towels, whatever, whatever it is. And so I always because I have some friends, I said, I don't think 20% is great. That's a very generous tip. I think if you're tipping 20% or more, kudos to you, but unnecessary. I served for years. 15 to 20% for good service is very acceptable tip. Mm-hmm. The servers make good money. In our restaurant, they tip out 20% of their tips. So if they make $100 in tips a night, $20 goes to the house, which goes to the cooks and the manager, and nothing to the owners. Like, we never make sure anything goes there. But if you remove all of that system, like, servers aren't working for $15 an hour. Like, who's working for $15 an hour these days? No. So you think you're going to get somebody who gives a shit about your experience at $15 an hour? Have you been to McDonald's? Yeah. And I'm not attacking McDonald's. We're talking minimum wage employees. You know what you get from those. Yeah. Because that job is, there's another job for $15 an hour tomorrow. Yeah. Another one. Yeah. So my thing has never been like raise minimum wage. I've always felt like let people keep more of their, like raise the income tax threshold. Yeah. Let them keep more of their money, because people that are making less than $80,000 or $60,000 a year, they're probably going to spend almost 100% of that, whether that's on a mortgage or groceries or gas or whatever else these days. So When it comes to the whole no tipping, and I know we got on a tangent here.
Yeah.
I think it's a better system to leave it in because it's in your control as a guest.
Yeah.
Now, if you choose not to tip and leave them high and dry, that's fine. But don't expect them to be at your beck and call the next time you come in because you ain't paying their wage.
No.
You're not paying their wage with the amount of money you spend on food or any of those things. I'm deciding what they get as their owner. And so if I choose to pay them more, I might have to charge more on my menu.
Well, it goes both ways. If you get terrible service, that server can expect not a great tip next
That's
time
right.
that server comes.
That's right. That's right. And I think there's so much bad service out there that people tip for. And I think it's gotten out of hand. Mm-hmm. Like going in, and it's no offense, but going into, fast food and being asked to tip. I tip my hairdresser when I get a good haircut.
Yeah.
And I tip, sometimes my mechanics and stuff like that if things get done quick. And to me, it's always something, it's like, it's a bonus if I really appreciated the service I got. I don't care if it's in a restaurant or at a doctor's office. I might not be a cash tip. I might send a thank you card afterwards and a gift card from the restaurant or, but to me, just like appreciating when you get great service anywhere. Yeah. Like there's become this expectation that everyone deserves it, but no one wants to pay for it.
Yeah.
And I'm like, okay, well, put yourself in those shoes. You go out and you do a perfect job of everything you do. Now, should you be paid like the entire rest of everyone else, like in the middle of the road?
Yeah.
Like I'm a very anti-union guy for that reason.
We can go down that road.
I've never came up in them, and I'm sure there's parts I'm missing.
I worked for them, and there's a lot of flaws in unions. I'll just say that.
I would rather be rewarded for my hard work, not my time spent. Yeah. And I would rather people should be recognized for their achievements and the work they do someplace. I don't care if that's teaching or in a hospital or anywhere else. And I know some people are going to staunchly disagree with me. Most of the time, those people don't work very hard. Yeah. They're the ones that want to keep it because as long as they're there long enough, they get a raise or they get that. Yeah. I wish we were a society that rewarded the best of the best all the time for the work they do.
Yeah, I mean, you can.
And tipping is a small token of that.
It is. And did you ever feel any pressure that these service staff need tips? It's my responsibility to make sure butts are in the seats.
Yes, that's my responsibility.
Yeah.
My responsibility is to put butts in the seats by making a good menu, running a clean restaurant, marketing our business. It's also a portion of their work by doing great service to bring back regular customers for themselves that like their work and so it's about building that experience in our family and just because someone's being a jerk too, we don't write them off. We have a rule in our business of it's kill them with kindness first. Yeah. And we're going to do everything we can, but there's points where you have to also wave the white flag and go, this isn't us. And no matter what we do, this person is, they have a vendetta tonight again. And it wouldn't matter probably if I was a hairdresser or a restaurant guy, like they cannot be kept happy because there's a way about it. I remember like this one older gentleman specifically stands out in my mind. My wife talked to them, the server talked to him. Both of them had been with me for years. Obviously my wife I knew inside and out. She's amazing at customers. She said, this guy is pissed. He does not like your burger. I went over, I said, I came out because I come out of the kitchen often to talk to tables, or even if I'm managing or in my office now, I'll be out just to check. So I heard you didn't like your burger. And he goes, this slapped on the ground, and everybody goes, this is garbage. They couldn't even serve this at A&W. This and these fries are shit and this and that. He was sitting with his wife, and I picked up everything at the table, and I cleared it off, and he was just sitting there, and I just kept clearing piece by piece from in front of him until there was nothing left. And he said, what the hell are you doing? And I said, you can go. He said, I'm not paying for anything. I said, I didn't say you have a bill or anything. I said, you can leave. Yeah. Because nobody deserves to be talked to like this. Yeah. And that's unacceptable. And I apologize if you didn't like your meal. This food is subjective like music. Taylor Swift's the biggest artist in the world. Does everyone love Taylor Swift? Yeah. So
look at art.
Look at art.
Who's paying $100K for a painting?
Yeah, for a Kandinsky.
you could buy a print for $1.
Like, and so it's such a subjective thing. Like, just because you don't like something doesn't mean it's shit. It means you don't like it. Yeah. And that's okay. You don't have to like it. I'm not, just because everyone else loved it and you came in and felt differently, that's fine. You're special. You're different. Yeah. You don't have to tell everybody and announce to the world how garbage it is because everyone else really liked it. So why yuck someone's yum?
So did you always have this attitude towards that, or did you have some rough days where it'd get under your skin and knock you back a bit? Or
No, I mean, it always gets under your skin. You're creative. If someone attacks what you do, like if you create art or music or food and you put like, there's a piece of yourself in that.
yeah,
But for me, it was always like, what could I have done different? Like what?
did you
what?
doubt the burger?
No. I knew the burger was good, but could I have handled the situation different?
Yeah,
Was there something we missed? Maybe it was a shit burger. Maybe we overcooked it. Maybe it was poorly seasoned. Did we miss that? Are we reading our own mail so much? Are we buying our, is my ego getting in the way right now? And I think that's maybe been why we've been successful as long as we do. Because if we do have a mistake, we respond to the guest on their email, and we're dead serious when we say, please give us whatever feedback you can, since you took the time to write this negative review. I'm assuming we didn't handle things properly. We'd love to bring you back in and show you that was more of an outlier than it is the regular here. It was easier at the start when no one knew us. Now that we're 12 years in and we have won these awards and we have this reputation, like you said, the bar is higher. People's expectations are higher. And we're in the business of under promise, over deliver. And so we have to find a way to achieve that. So like we had a wedding in, they drove all the way from Lethbridge on the weekend. Whoa. Just to have, he'd been eating in the area, not a wedding, an anniversary. He'd been working and eating in the area like yourself and telling his wife about it and wanted to come. And so I said to the staff, these guys are taking a large portion, and it's not like they're more important than the people that come from down the street. We take care of all our guests, but I've really been inspired lately to see how we can become a bit unreasonable in our hospitality. Yeah. And normally we would buy you some champagne in the building for an anniversary like that, some glasses of bubbles, maybe dessert. And I just went and bought a nice bottle of Prosecco. It wasn't like a wicked expensive. It was under $20, like a $20 bottle. And I delivered it to their hotel room they were staying at before they got there with a card. And so it was on ice when they rolled in. There you go. To know that we were waiting for them at the restaurant, but to take it a minute and have a glass of bubbles before they come join us. And then we had another guy that just drove 2,004 kilometers one way, but he's going back from Vancouver because he ate with us 3 years ago. He's from Britain, moved out, said there's no restaurants in Vancouver at this caliber, which I find hard to believe. Yeah. There's some really great restaurants, but I think there's something maybe about the vibe of our restaurant that was different. And he said, there's just care and passion. You can tell you guys love what you're doing. And so he's been dating this girl and talking about our restaurant. And so they fixed up a VW van and drove it from Vancouver to Shaunavon to eat. They stopped along the way. They made a trip out of it, but we were the destination.
That's amazing.
It's like, how hard do you have to fucking work? Yeah. When people are traveling 4,000 kilometers, like even just 200 round trip from Swift Current, the pressure's on. And now there's people coming from Sweden and all over that have heard of us. And, part of you wants to just be more amazing. But then I have to remember, like, they're coming for what we've been doing. Yeah. So we just need to do what we do.
Got to check yourself really hard there for a minute.
Check yourself. Yeah. We don't need to get bigger than who we are or what we are. We do what we do. We're proud of what we do. It's not going to fit everyone. Some people are going to be, you think about, we're going to get to the tourism here. So tourism in general, like you've heard, everyone loves Vegas. You might not like Vegas. Some people don't like Vegas. They might prefer Costa Rica. But just because they like Costa Rica doesn't mean everyone's going to like Costa Rica. Yep. But that also doesn't mean Costa Rica's shitty. It just wasn't for you. And so I have to be okay with it not being for everybody. And as I've gotten older, I'm okay with that. Doesn't mean I don't still dissect every single one of those reviews and go back and make sure we've done everything that we do the way we do it and we took care of it. Did the server ask? Did we miss something? Did we make a mistake? If we do, it's an opportunity.
Yeah, that's a great attitude. So night one, how was it opening?
Night one, our basement flooded in the rental house. My wife was crying. She wanted to just call it off. Let's not open tonight. And I was not having any of it. We're here. We're done.
Reservations
we had reservations booked. Our investor, because we ended up finding a local investor who got us off the ground, which gave us enough money to the bank to consider us and co-sign and do all that. And so they were coming for dinner. The gentleman we had hired to do the gas work, we brought in the gas inspector and they said he doesn't have a ticket to work on all this. So we had to call a company that was able to do it and say, hey, we've already paid for somebody to do all this, but can you come look it over and sign off on it so the gas inspector can do the inspection? So there was like just a lot of those little things. And we found out years later, like a lot of our stuff wasn't done right because we tried to hire local guys and they did good work. But when they were above their depth, instead of saying, I don't know and I'm not sure, they said, oh, I'll figure it out. And we're paying the price for some of those things now, which pisses me off a bit. So if there's one thing I would say, if you're out of your depth and you don't know what you're doing, you can tell somebody that and give them the opportunity to either say, hey, I'm fine if you want to try and figure it out. And we'll do it at a little discounted rate or something like that, since you might fuck up. Or I'm going to go and find somebody who can.
Never fake it till you make it.
Never. You got to be honest when you're charging people that kind of money and they're investing in creating their dream, whether that's their house or their business or their whatever. Like, just be honest and say, I don't actually know. I've never done this.
Yeah.
I'm guessing.
Yeah.
Fine. Okay. Let's guess together. Let's do some research together and find out if we're doing it right. Like, I liked the guy. I would have continued to pay him. But now years later, part of me is like, it's costing me thousands and thousands, like tens of thousands of dollars now.
Oh. So your wife was front of staff that night one?
Front of house, night one.
She had to put the smile on.
She had to serve. I pushed her through it. We got a guy to our house to suck up. It was roots in the sewer, so it was like the sewer water. And we were renting my grandpa's house who had passed away, and so there was obviously like we didn't want to flood the house. Her family's going to be mad at us, and like it was just this whole. It was like stress on stress. It got us ready. It prepared us for what was to come for sure. So we survived. We grounded out, we got through it, it was good, and it just has gotten better.
Success from day one?
Success from day one.
Yeah.
Not really, like not packed.
Yeah.
And like not financially, no.
Yeah.
Success as far as we created what we wanted to.
Yeah.
Straight up.
When did you got a phone ahead 2-3 weeks to get in start?
Probably year 3.
Really? 3 years of grinding it out
3
with
years.
Just steady business, but not crazy?
Yeah, we didn't pump. I was a firm believer in organic evolution and organic growth. So what I mean by that for people that are like, what the hell is he talking about? Like, for me, when you pump tons of marketing dollars at something, there's nothing organic about that growth. You're convincing people they need to show up.
Yeah.
Organic growth is me taking care of one guest at a time, one person at a time as they come through the door, and them going out and saying to their friend, oh my God,
the word of mouth.
I just ate here. And so if you see an ad on TV, it's pretty easy to brush it off because we're so used to being lied to by companies now. Oh. It's not going to be like that. It's not going to look like that. It's not going to taste like that. It's not going to feel like that. No. But if your friend tells you over a beer or a drink or whatever, a coffee, I went to this restaurant. I had the best meal I've ever had in my life. Like, you need to go. Yeah.
That's what got me there.
It took time. It took time to build to that. And it took consistency. Yeah. And to build to that level, you have to be great day in, day out and consistent for someone to say Tom Brady was the greatest of all time, one Super Bowl wasn't enough.
Yeah.
15-year career, 6 Super Bowls, countless MVP awards. Mm-hmm. Didn't matter who coached, who played, what team, same result.
Yep.
That's greatness.
Yep. Man, I came in there and
I hate Tom Brady.
Yeah. Well, that's awfully big again.
But you recognize that level.
I came in there and I looked at your menu. I'm like, 18-hour brisket, I think you had on there.
Yep.
I was like, let's see. Because I mean, I've been places and they claim the big long cooks on the nice cut of beef. But man, that was a brisket.
Tender,
I remember
and smoked.
that.
Yeah.
How many years ago did I eat that? A handful of restaurants, they take you back and man, your creme brulee dessert I had, and it was a coffee in the bottom. Do you do all your desserts too?
Yeah, everything.
And pastry, like do you do your breads? Man, scratch.
The only bread we don't make is our ciabatta.
Yeah.
And that comes from Solo Italia in Ogama, Saskatchewan. An Italian guy who's got a starter that he brought over from Italy with him.
Oh, really?
Yeah. Those pizza crusts, that stuff. If you're going through Ogama, stop into Solo Italia. Check it out. There's a great little smokehouse there too. There's Trigo in the Flesh. They're doing fun stuff. So that's been the really cool spinoff is like Michael Brownlee with Mabel Hill. He was working at Aiden in Saskatoon previous, and I went and did a Saskatchewan CEDA, Saskatchewan Economic Development Association. I was a counselor on the town of Shaunavon at the time, which is a whole nother lifetime and story. But it was good. I wanted to change things in my town, and I thought I can complain at home over a beer with my family, or I can run for council and get in here and do it. So I did it, and one of the results was being on the EDC. And I went to this thing, and they actually called me as Harvest, not as Councillor Garrett, and said, "Hey, listen, we're doing a whole thing on experiential tourism." This was like in year 6 or so of the restaurant 7. We've got Shaunavon from 9 Mile, yourself, and this young new guy, Michael Brownlee, who's opened Maple Hill. Would you come talk? And so we went, and we were a panel, sat on the panel, and while we were sitting there, Michael said, "I never would have done what I did if it hadn't been for this guy and Harvest Eatery." And we, obviously, I was like taken aback, and I wanted to know more. So after we went out and had a beer while, he's great guy, amazing things. If you are anywhere near Nipawin, you need to go to Maple Hill and check it out and support them, because it's just these little restaurants out in the middle of nowhere. We won't exist for forever. I mean, the fact that we've been around for 12 years is because of hard work and because I can't do anything else.
Yeah.
But I think for a lot of people, it'll burn them out and it'll take over. So enjoy them while they're here. They're usually finite,
and they're diamonds in the rough.
Yeah,
these restaurants that you just stumble into. And
well, and you remember, we've talked about Michelin stars. So the Michelin guide was by the tire guys. They created that guide as a way to sell tires, because they thought these places we're going to mention are going to be worth the drive, or each star is its own level. A 3 stars is like, you got to make a special trip out of your way right now and go here. 2 is like a little bit out of the way. 1 is worth the drive. And then there's mentions. But the whole idea then was, it was worth the drive. Now you see, like, it's in Vancouver, but where's the Michelin restaurant for all the rural Canada?
Yeah.
That's the drive. Get out of your city. It's great, but to me, cities are all consuming. They're all consuming. It's all consumption. There's not usually an attitude of abundance and creation. It's about consume, 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 consume. From the grocery store, so there is some creative sides, but as soon as something great gets out there, it gets consumed like en masse. Yeah. And we've been really lucky where we're at. I really feel like our community in this Southwest area, there's a mentality of abundance and of creation. And if we don't have something, we're going to make it. Yeah. And we want to make things to last still out here. And so I'm just happy that, after 12 years, we're still there, but I know some aren't. And so I think it'd be great when you say, we want to go visit something, like, figure out a way to make a trip of it. Yeah. Like when we built Harvest, one of the things, and we were talking about tourism, was we looked at the Southwest as kind of a big mall. So if you imagine a mall, on one end of the mall, there's usually your Sears or the Bay. I'm picking dead businesses, Holt Renfrew, whatever you want. Mm-hmm. And then there's another massive store at the other end. And then all the little stores are in the middle, because those are the anchors. Yeah. Everyone's coming for those, whether it's Bass Pro Shops or whatever it is, that's what they're coming for. All these other ones in the middle, once they're there, now you can try and capitalize on that traffic. Grasslands, Cypress Hills, Shaunavon, right in the middle. Yeah. So we're already going to have tourists coming to those. Those are established. They're doing their job. There's nothing we can do. We can add to that experience, though. We can create something that might be worth driving out from Cypress Hills. That was kind of our initial thing, was like, let's give them a reason to get out of the park. Nothing wrong with Cypress, but it's ice cream shop. Like, there was never any real fine dining, like, people are on vacation. They still want to have a really good, in fact, more so. Yeah. They want to go have a good meal. And when I go on vacation, like, what's an hour drive?
Wow, that's part of the vacation.
You're in Mexico. You could, you're wherever. Like, you're traveling an hour, 2 hours a day, like, often, like, because you're going to see this site or do this. You're only here once. Might as well take it in. Yeah. So let's make something worth a drive. Well, then people decided it was worth driving from Swift Current and from Medicine Hat and Calgary. And so they've all come and supported us. So I really do, without that support, like, our locals keep us alive through the shoulder seasons, through spring and fall, winter, really our deadest months. You want to be able to not make a reservation, roll in, come visit me in like mid-September to the end of October, middle November, or show up and right after Valentine's Day in February around the 15th and all the way until the end of April. Yeah. Because we get hit with seeding and calving and breakup and you know, in the fall kids go back to school and it's Halloween and there's just not a lot of tourism in the area. The summertime right now, you want to dine at 6 o'clock on a Friday, you better book 3 weeks in advance.
Yeah.
So, and that's not me being,
that's just a fact.
it's just a fact.
Yeah.
It's just how it's gotten. And we have to take care of those people. And if you've gone out of your way to make a reservation, like there's not really a priority list, but if you've booked your reservation 2 weeks ago or 2 days ago or whatever, and we knew you were coming and then someone just rolls in and wants it right now, I'll give you one guess who's waiting.
Yeah, exactly.
So you're not going to be at the top of the list. We do want to take care of you. If we can, we're going to do the best of our abilities. But, you know, we had somebody get mad on the weekend because we told them this is when you can come dine. And they didn't believe it. And then they showed up and they were mad and they wanted that table there. That one's coming soon. We have a plan.
Yeah.
We're not picking and choosing who can and can't come into our restaurant. Yeah. In fact, I want as many people as possible because I'm a businessman as well.
Yeah.
But my business is in taking care of people.
Yeah.
And I know this business better than you know it.
Yeah.
And I know this kitchen better than you know it as the guest. In fact, what you need to do is stop pretending like you know fucking everything and just come relax for a night and let me take care of you. Yeah. And that's what we're in the business. And if you don't want to do that, then stay home and cook for yourself because you know how to do everything already.
Yeah.
And I guarantee my wife's going to see this and be like, why would you say that? But I'm 46 now. I've had a business for 12 years. I feel strongly in that. If you've come all this way to come meet with me, why are you telling me how to do it? Yeah. You're coming to experience. Like if you go watch a hockey game, you're not telling the Flames how to play hockey.
Well, you are through the TV.
Yeah, a little bit. Yeah, maybe I'm being totally unfair. I'm coaching the Riders every weekend. So, but yeah, no, I just, part of it, even for me, like people will say that to me, oh, I'm never bringing you to my house. I'm never going to bring you to my house to eat. You're just like, no. Yeah. I couldn't be happier to have someone else cook for me. But if you bill me for it afterwards, then I'm going to start breaking it down.
You probably still like a Big Mac or a bowl of Ichiban and craft dinner as much as the next guy.
I had a little Taco Time burrito today.
Probably loved it.
I enjoy it. It makes me feel not so great, usually an hour or two later now. Yeah. So, but fresh food takes more time.
It does.
And I'm in a rush like everyone else. So I'm not here to preach or say that I'm better, but make time for good food. You're going to have to at some point in your day. Yeah. Don't make that the exception to grab that fast meal instead of the reality. Yeah. Because when people say, oh, I don't have time for this, that, I'll say bullshit. We're in the day and age of more time, of everything being easier, of everything being faster. Make the time. Yeah. Carve out that hour in your day to sit down with your family and have a real meal at home. It doesn't have to be at my restaurant. I just want people to be sitting and eating again and sharing conversation and not just grabbing crappy takeout and eating and rushing off to the next thing. Like we act like we don't have control.
Maybe you can push that hour and a half of Netflix you're going to watch before you go to bed. Maybe you could cook a meal for 40 minutes.
Yeah, food prep 30 minutes for the next day. Yeah. Put it on and stand there in the kitchen and do it. You know, don't lay on the couch. Yeah. And I people ask me all the time, like, how do you deal with the allergies and stuff? And I'm like, there are real allergies. We take them very serious. There are a lot of things, intolerances that they get called nowadays. I think that's more of a result of processed fast foods and high sugar contents than it is. And when people say, well, no, but I was told not to eat gluten and I feel better. That's a nocebo. Yeah. It's when you remove something and you feel better. But a placebo is when you're given a fake candy and told it and you feel better, because in your head you do feel better. Yeah. And that's half the battle. But really what you're doing is you're suddenly taking care of what you're buying. You're paying attention to what's in what you're buying. Yeah. You're purchasing more from the outside than the center of the grocery store. You're buying less pre-packed, pre-processed, preservative-laden, sugar-laden foods that we know cause cancers and all kinds of things now. But we buy them because they're cheap and they're easy. Mm-hmm.
So how is Harvest... What's the evolution been like from start till now? And how is that, what's the biggest evolution you find and where do you see it evolving into?
Man, great question. It's a constant evolution. I think the evolution at the start was, we called it gourmet comfort, and we're still gourmet comfort. We want to bring that. But for me, it's like, how do I balance the beauty of what makes Saskatchewan, which is our people and our hospitality and the way we talk, and not being stuffy, but also not being like, here's your, I had buddies come out and we went to a restaurant, little short order place, and they ordered coffees, and they said to the girl, can we get some cream? And she reached into her sweatpants pocket, pulled the creamers out, threw them on the table. Like, I think we can do a little better than that.
I get the charm, but maybe not today.
Yeah, thanks for preheating them for me. So for me, it's like the real evolution, the real dream is down the road to have something super crazy. But it's a hard balance, Logan. Honestly, I want to make this restaurant last for forever. It'd be cool to have something that my daughter, when she's a teenager, is like, oh, it's been here for 30 years or 50 years, but my body's not in that shape. So
hey, you didn't become an optometrist.
I didn't become an optometrist. Yeah. And my dad's actually struggling to, like, he's 76, he's 74, pardon me. He's still practicing. He doesn't want to walk away from it because he'll leave our community without an optometrist. But you try and find a kid that wants to go live in a little town. Even though this business is there, you could walk into an incredibly successful business. It's built for you. They would rather go be an employee at a business in a city than start building their own thing. And I don't know how you sell that. Hopefully he'll get lucky and we'll find somebody in the next bit. But and that's the thing. They've even got a guy that's like, hey, I'll work for a couple months out of the year while you vacation and do whatever, because I'm here and I still want to practice. I just don't want to do it 365 days a year.
Yeah.
I want to enjoy my grandkids and travel. So it's an exit strategy at some point after 12 years. I mean, originally this was at a 5-year arc. That was kind of what we were going to try. How do you get your wife to leave White Rock and come to Shaunavon? 5 years. Yeah. Try for 5 years if you hate it. But a year's not enough.
No.
When you're doing things with people 6-7 months, a year, you can't figure shit out then.
3 years, you probably felt like you're just getting your feet
3
under
years,
you.
you're just finally getting to your running stride, and then all of a sudden at 5 years, like, holy, it's been 5 years already and the loans are paid off, and now we're going to renovate the backspace, and now we're going to try and take on catering, and now we're going to invest in this and this and this. Yeah. So I see my catering expanding. We're doing a lot. We did a lot of weddings this year. It's one thing I want people to know about. So I'll probably come to the spring show here in Swift Current and really start promoting that. Or we've done some one-off caterings. I'm doing some cooking classes. We're doing private events in the house. Like, obviously, you can't bring me to your house for $200 to cook. Yeah. I mean, you get ready to pay $1,000 to $2,000. So get a few friends together, but I'll come in and do it. Like,
super awesome.
It just has to be worth my time too, right? Like, I can't take a night away from my family and my restaurant, my business, and come and make $50. No. Like, I don't care how fun people are. No. I'm starting to learn, like, I need to take care of myself, and if I'm not going to make a bunch of money at it, and if I don't have that free time, like, that's the thing. If I have the free time and I could do it, great, but I don't.
Well, what is it going to cost that 6 or 8 people to go to the restaurant? What's that bill going to be at the end of the night?
That's right. And if I'm coming to your house to do it personally for you and your personal menu that we're going to talk about together, so you get to have whatever you want.
You're doing that now?
Yeah, it's like bespoke. Yeah, bespoke menus for like 6 to 12. We were just out at a cabin on the weekend, and they did a big anniversary do, and they did this trip 4 years ago, and so they were all coming back together, and so we came out and we did, like, pork belly burnt ends that we fried to order, and some tartare on bone marrow and everything else, and then we did tomahawks over the open fire and played it, and then we hung out all night and played music with them afterwards, and it's awesome and fun for me. We like to be involved, and we leave your kitchen cleaner, and we found it, and we work right out of your house, and we bring plates, we bring cutlery, we bring all that stuff, so you don't have to deal with any of it.
Unreal.
So that's I think the next thing for me, because that's fun. This event we did this weekend out in Pine Lake is called Camp Canna. It's this big cannabis festival. Only one of its kind of in Western Canada. I'm not a big stoner, but I am a pro-cannabis guy. And for me, it was like, we went there the first year, my friend's putting it on, and he was like, yeah, you're going to be like 150 people, and you're going to do great. 50 people bought tickets. We probably lost money that year on gas and driving out there and everything. And And then the next year, you know, there's maybe 100 people and we kind of were getting closer to a break even. This year there was nearly 350 people. It was a very profitable weekend. And we had fun. Like we were out there, we worked crazy. We worked from 6 in the morning until 10 or 11 at night because we're doing breakfast, lunch, dinner. It's kind of like a food booth, you know, but what a great place to sell food.
Yeah. Oh, geez. These guys are eating a lot of food.
So, and everyone's pretty chill.
Yeah.
No one's in a big rush. So I was kind of like, yeah, this is a hoot. I could see me doing, but yeah,
no pun intended.
Yeah, no pun intended. But the legs are sore today and I'm feeling it. And I'm like, you know, where do we evolve to next? And so can I get Sam to buy in? He's been with me for 10 years. Maybe he wants to buy that business and I stay a part of it and help guide and steer it and create something that they've been, you know, Caitlin, who's been managing for us for, almost 5 years now. They've got goals. They want to buy houses and do things, but they plan on sticking around Shaunavon. So maybe I can develop the restaurant that way where I sell off a portion of it to them to carry it on. We did big flats. So we're doing tons of festivals and weddings. I feel like this year it's safe to say from basically May 30th all the way until this last weekend, I only had one empty weekend where I wasn't busy on the Friday and Saturday.
Man, that's hard on the family too. Hey, like you got young kids. You're grinding though.
I'm grinding. My wife is amazing. So she works from home. We've kind of got a schedule set up. They get up first because I work usually later at night. So they'll wake up between 6 and 7 and I climb out of bed 7:30, 8 o'clock, come upstairs, spend that, hour or so. Christy will go take the dogs and go for her walk in the morning and stuff because she's been doing that and feeling great. And Lily and I get time to hang out that way and just chill in the morning, feed her breakfast, get her ready for school or whatever, daycare, take her off to daycare or camp or whatever she's doing. And then I pick her up at 11 or 12. I can come home. That way I can, if I need to mow the lawn or do some laundry or whatever, I squeeze in a couple things into that hour too. Feed her lunch, or Christy will feed her lunch, depending how busy my day is, get her back. And then I'm usually at work from 1 o'clock and I'll get home anywhere between 9 and midnight. Depends on the night. Yeah. Depends on how much I have left in my tank. There's always work for me to be there for all hours. I try and get as much done as I can. Some points you're just staring at the computer at the end of the day and you're like, just not being productive. I might as well just go home.
Do you catch yourself being a bit of a workaholic or used to be?
Yeah, I am. Yeah. I think my wife would say that. And if it's not workaholic, I was I was on town council for 7 years. And then right out of that, I became the president of the Chamber of Commerce for 2 years and kind of helped reinvigorate Boomtown Days and rebrand it and move to a new level with that. But I've handed that off to people and they're doing good. So I think part of my development now is learning to let go.
Learning to delegate.
Yeah. Well, delegating I'm good at, but just letting go.
Yeah.
Being okay with somebody else doing it, not having to micromanage every component of that, allowing room for those mistakes to occur because they need to grow. And I just read this amazing book called Unreasonable Hospitality, which is why I keep going back to that. But there's I recommend it for anybody in any business industry because it's really about taking care of your people and your guests and the lengths they go to have achieved. It was 11 Madison Park. It was the number one restaurant in the world, still in the top 50 in the world. 3 Michelin stars, and just basically how they took it from this good restaurant to a great restaurant. It was never a shit restaurant, but they really kind of approached things differently. And I loved a lot of it because I very much feel in hop step with a lot of the values they're talking about. So my dream is we have this coulee called Cow Camp Coulee just below the bench, a few miles outside of Shaunavon. And at some point my uncle won't ranch anymore. I don't want our family land and the farm to disappear. So if I could build this big, beautiful farmhouse out there with a kitchen kind of the size of dining area, the size of Harvest's, have some animals, we'd have our own cattle, our own pigs, sheep, whatever else, chickens, everything else out there that I might want to, ducks, whatever we're going to be serving. And then build a series of 6 cabins, small ones, high end, basically, not much probably bigger than the room we're in here, but beautiful bespoke rooms, like bed, furniture, everything really nice. And I want to sell it at like 10 to 15 grand for a week or a weekend or whatever it is. I don't know that number exactly
Just
yet.
unreal dining and beautiful views. And
Yeah, I told my dad, and he's like, there's nobody in North America that's going to pay that. I said, I don't plan on marketing to North Americans.
no.
I want to go to, Dubai and Hong Kong and Tokyo. And I want to market this to some people that have a bit of wealth and bring them out, and we can take them fly fishing. We can take them spotting. They can't hunt, obviously. Take them spotting to find elk and moose and deer and whatever else. I could probably organize it with some friends where they can get in a tractor and ride around in a field or help out, whether that's summer following or during seeding or harvest, whether it's loading, unloading, or just riding in the grain truck, and maybe a cattle drive, trail ride, horseback, camping, dark sky preserve. There's all things. Everyone, I know there's people right now. They're like, "What's this stuff?
They had that
Boring."
ranch on the South Saskatchewan, just south of Kyle, where people would fly in all over to go horseback riding through the river hills for a week.
I know. When people are like, when I say this, people around here, they're like, "You're crazy." I'm like, to you, don't you think the people in Mexico think it's crazy? You want to go scuba dive on a reef that 1,000 people have scuba dived and that they see every day?
Yeah.
Like, don't take for granted what we've got right here. Let's figure out a way to package it and market it. And if that money comes into our area, maybe they decide to invest in something in the area. Maybe we keep things going. Like, I don't know. To me, that seems like the lifeline. Because if we just sit back and do nothing, you know what's going to happen? Nothing.
And I think a lot of great things that are out there, was the same idea. Oh, it's going to fail.
Yeah.
And then guy made it a success, and who knew? And now it's this thing. And I mean, Harvest Eatery.
Yeah.
How many doubters did you have in that? Like,
the doubters keep you going.
The doubters keep you going.
The doubters keep you going, because then it's a matter of proving everyone wrong.
Yeah.
Right. And I guess that's where I'm competitive.
Yeah.
So you tell me I can't do it.
Yeah.
I'm going to go try and do it. But I don't just do it. Like, I'm not, we said it earlier, work smarter and harder.
Yeah.
So I'm not just bullheading through everything, like putting my head down and just smashing it to big. There's thought. There's action added to the thought, and then we grind. Yeah. Because the only thing that separates a lot of people from making it and not is quit. Yeah. Most people quit. Yeah.
What are some of the biggest challenges you've faced since you've opened Harvest? Obstacles you've had to overcome, or just in life?
SLGA. Liquor in this province, and the SLGA, and trying to bring anything in, and the way they tax it, and we pay so much more. It's a bloated, antiquated system that needs people that if they could break it down for me, and I'm guaranteed I'm pissing somebody off in the government by saying this, but you got rid of your liquor stores, but you're still the wholesaler, and you decide what liquor is going to show up. And when I try to bring in and build a new wine list, and it takes 2 fucking months for a bottle of wine to show up because of the paperwork and all the crap that goes along, and then I'm paying 30 to 40% more than Alberta for a bottle of booze that came over. So yeah, let's get the interprovincial trade barriers down. Let's remove the bloat in government, get out of the way. That's an opportunity for somebody to privatize and become a liquor wholesaler in this province. There's already some that are positioned and have warehouses that are basically being supplementary to the SLG because they're so bad at it. And there's a reason why you go into every liquor store, it's the same crappy booze in every liquor store. Yeah. Why there's no diversity. Why? Like, why? Like, I don't get it.
You go to a restaurant and you see a bottle of J-Lore.
Yeah.
And it's like, I know what this is worth.
Yeah.
But this restaurant has to charge that.
I have to charge. And so even beyond that, like finding great wines and trying to bring them in. And then we went through this whole thing with the tariff stuff where they're like, we're not carrying American booze. I don't need you to make that decision for me. If I want to pay extra for it, that's fine. If that booze makes me sick, if there poses a health risk, if there's a marketing issue, if there's a million other things you're paid to regulate. Yeah. Don't tell me how to feel. Yeah. Yeah. I don't need the government to tell me how to feel. I get out of my way. I am not dealing with that. If I want to bring that in, and if my customers want to pay 50% more because there's tariffs on it now, because that's your department, the tariffs and all that shit. But my department is deciding where my money goes. You already tax me enough and send it wherever you feel like. Yeah. The little bit I have left to spend on myself, I should get to decide.
Can you bring it in from across the pond and dodge tariffs or nothing like that? No.
No, the taxation, like bringing, for example, I had a bottle. A lot of these bottles are listed. I can see the wholesale prices from Alberta and stuff. For the most part, most are like 10 to 20% more by the time we get them. So it probably could be less if they didn't have to go all the way to Regina first and have somebody stamp it and then ship it out here. I mean, even as a restaurant, the privatization was a garbage thing. I have to deal with, I'll straight up say it, Pioneer Co-op, when I was trying to deal with them, they won't even give us a wholesale discount. They want me as a restaurant to pay shelf price. That's a new thing for Pioneer Co-op in this area.
Oh man,
it's ridiculous.
Yeah.
But if you're if you're a contractor and you go to the hardware store, there's contractor rates.
Yeah.
But they refuse to give restaurants. So Urban Cellars played ball with us when we were doing our project here, and Shaunavon Liquors played ball with us. In Shaunavon, we get those prices, but Co-op in Saskatoon does cost plus 8%.
For wholesalers.
Yeah.
That's
So it's a Pioneer Co-op, not a federated Co-op
Right.
issue. It's a Pioneer Co-op issue. And I know there's going to be somebody at Pioneer Co-op that pushes back, but it's bullshit.
Yeah.
First of all, the whole thing. And I told the guy as much on the phone when I talked to him, so I'm fine saying it here. But that what are you're making everyone pay ridiculous amounts. And I don't have an option. The way SLGA set it up, because I'm in Shaunavon, I have two stores, Co-op liquor store or Shaunavon liquor store. If Megan at Shaunavon Liquor didn't have the pockets to help me bring in the wines I needed to get them shelved, I would be on the hook as a restaurant to buy cases every time.
Wow.
Through that. And then I still might have to pay Pioneer Co-op. Even if I'm buying the case, they're going to charge me shelf price on the case. So it's ridiculous.
What about domestic, just straight out of BC from a winery?
Nope. You can order it to your house directly. I can't do it as a restaurant. It has to come through SLGA.
Oh,
The only plus that SLGA has, and because you should always talk about the pros with the cons, I believe that. We can buy direct from brewers and distillers. But this is also Saskatchewan. That's a lot of driving, whether that's for me or for them delivering. There's a lot of miles to cover. So I don't understand why I can't go look at the SLGA wholesale website, just like a liquor store can, purchase what I need, and we could have it dropped in a warehouse area. But that truck's already coming out. It's already delivering to the two liquor stores in my town.
Yeah.
Like either that or put in something that says you can only charge restaurant permit holders 8% or 10% or 15% above cost.
Yeah.
Like cap it. But there's none of that regulation in place. There's nothing stopping, and it's fine in the urban centers because there's competition. But you get out to a small rural community where there's only one person.
Yeah. It's a killer. And they're just scalping. I mean, it sounds like you got a future job ahead of you.
Yeah.
You're passionate about this, but no, it is terrible. Our liquor prices, even you go to Alberta.
Yeah.
Just compare.
I don't understand how, I need somebody to sit down, break down why it can be so much cheaper there
Yeah.
than here.
Yeah.
I'm talking Medicine Hat. It's
Yeah.
2 hours down the road from me.
Yeah.
There's a fake line in the ground.
Yeah.
So you know why it's more expensive? Because of policy. That's it.
And at a time when small businesses need all the help they can get. Even
I
the
mean, if
liquor
you're going to
stores.
talk about that as a SAS party, and I'm a big supporter of the SAS party. I think they've done a lot of wonderful things in this province. Tourism, like I'm a musician, the creative arts and the funding they've done in that area. I think they've done as best they can given the current global economic circumstances with oil and gas and ag and stuff to keep us as close to balanced and not going into deficit. They're not perfect, and no one ever will be, because there's people that say they haven't done enough with education. They should spend more money here, there. The roads are shit. I get that. I'm talking about what affects me personally, and that's how I vote every time. I don't wear a particular party's flag. What is important to me right now while this election's going? What do I think they're actually going to follow through on? Right?
Yeah.
So for the most part, they've been pretty great. When it comes to the SLGA thing, to call it privatized, it's a bit of a stretch.
Yeah, I know they still get the taxes on the liquor is unbelievable.
And it didn't really, so many big companies got monopolies on a bunch of small town liquor stores.
Yeah.
So was it really privatized? Because a true capitalist society would say anybody can enter the game.
Yeah.
And if you want cheap liquor prices, put more competition out there.
Well, look what the price has done to liquor licenses with said group.
Well, they're selling them because in Alberta you can get more liquor licenses. You can see there's more. It's not as tight here, and I get it. It's an antiquated law that, you can only have so many liquor stores per capita.
Yeah.
Why? So
they can keep the pricer high.
So they can keep pricing locked in.
Yeah.
Yeah. So that there's not as much competition. Like why not apply that same logic to restaurants then?
Well, I was going to say.
Why do we need, in Shaunavon, we have a dozen restaurants and 1,700 people.
Yeah.
Is that not oversaturating the market? I'm not saying it is. I don't think it is at all.
Yeah.
Competition.
Yeah.
The best will stick around, and it shits. If you want to have a real capitalist market, then you can't stifle competition. And that's what's happening with that kind of stuff by only allowing there to be one liquor provider, or basically giving them every license, or only people with tons of money can buy a liquor license now.
Yeah.
So you have a bunch of money, that makes you the best idea person. There's not somebody out there maybe coming out of university that could open up a new liquor store that services people better, that brings in better selection. Maybe it's a Amazon. I don't know.
Yeah.
Will we ever, if we don't allow to open that up for thought and creative and competition? Like, would there have ever been a Harvest Eatery if I was only allowed to sell chicken clubs?
Yeah.
You know,
never. And you couldn't afford to get the beef. And
if I couldn't get, or if I had to, you know, and even now I know there's going to be somebody probably from Cypress Health region call me, because I got a phone call on the weekend from my health inspector. She said, I see you're serving tartare on the menu. I said, I've been serving tartare for 10 years on my menu, 12 years, but on and off since I've opened. Well, that's going to kind of be an issue, because we have this, you know, these laws in Saskatchewan, and the reason they saw it is there was a post on social media. A guest ate it, loved it, wasn't complaining, was saying it was great, and there was uptick. Some people thought I shouldn't be able to do that, and this and that, but we handle it. So she said, like I said, I'm not. She said, you're gonna have to take it off the menu. I said, I'm not going to do that.
And what's the reasoning?
There's no reason right now. There's some regulate. Want to make sure I'm doing it by the book. So they said, now can you sit down and write down a food safety plan around it all? I said, no. You want to come out. You can sit and watch me prepare it, how I store it, how I make it. You can write your own thing. Until then, no. No, because you're fucking wasting my time.
Yeah.
You're wasting your time. And I will tell you right now, without an ounce of facetiousness, there are probably 20 restaurants in your region that shouldn't be operating and serving food because of the quality of their cleanliness of their kitchen. And you're coming after me over a beef tartare that's been served for thousands of years in human history. And you're going to act like that's going to get someone sick. You know what? The old dirty ass chicken wings that have been sitting pre-fried for 3 hours in a roasting oven, those might get them sick. The cleanliness of that dish area, that's going to get someone sick. The temperature that they're not storing their food properly at, that's going to get someone sick. Yeah. But you're wasting my time right now.
Again, you set yourself up with that high bar.
I said, you tell your supervisor to call me. You want to come pull my food permit? So if I'm not in restaurant business in the next months, you guys, everyone can know what it's for. But I'm telling you, I took a stand that because it's a bullshit waste of my time.
Yeah.
I do have all of those things in place. She said, well, don't you have like a food safe handling? I said, for everything. All of my cooks have food safe handling. All my servers have food safe handling. We have temperature check logs. We have like HACCP methods for whether we're handling raw chicken or different things. Like, there's critical things that we work. That's how I've been in business for 12 years. We've never had one person get sick.
Yeah.
Never.
That's incredible.
But you're calling me and you're wasting my time, and you're telling me I got to write out a whole action plan, or I got to stop serving this dish that I've been serving for years, because you saw a post, because you don't come out, because my menu's available online. Yeah. You could have seen this forever. So that kind of bureaucracy can get fucked as far as I'm concerned. That's a waste of everyone's time, energy, and money. Yeah. Where there are more critical things you need to be. You want to talk about something? Talk about the quality of food you serve in a hospital.
No kidding. Quality of care.
Well, I won't speak to that. I speak to what I know. Yeah. You know, I'm a food guy. Yeah. You go and have a major surgery. If you're sick with anything, you need the best nutrients and stuff you can get. And you're getting like Wonder Bread and prepackaged Jellos.
Talked to my buddy today. He's getting like really experimental cancer treatment in Saskatoon. Cannot leave the hospital. How's the food? It's bad.
Bad.
Terrible.
Bad. And you don't have to spend a lot of money. You just have to hire somebody who knows how to cook.
And his immune system's knocked down to nothing, and they're not even giving him good nutrition. It's like, man.
Not like you get to pick the menu anyway. I've been in the hospital enough times. You get what you're served.
Yeah.
You know, and you tell them if you have an allergy, and they work around that.
Yeah.
So why can't you bake fresh breads or find a local place that's baking fresh bread and use that? Why can't you do these things? Why?
Yeah.
You're going to tell me it's too much work or this, that, or you need to use one supplier. Like, they're going to have a whole bunch of corporate bullshit answers instead of the right answer and doing the right thing.
Yeah.
And no, it might cost a little bit more money, but not that much more. And you know, it's unionized. So maybe instead of having that guy that's been there for 30 years who just doesn't give a shit anymore, you hire somebody who does care. Like, I honestly, that's something I do want to sit down with and work on, is the quality of food. Like, even when my wife had her baby, like, we were bringing in food from outside of the hospital because she needs good nutritional food now.
Yeah.
Don't tell me that pre-made shit is nutritional.
Well, formula.
Like, don't tell me that.
It
like,
can't be.
It's not. How do you look at me with a straight face and then come challenge me on beef tartare in my restaurant?
Yeah.
That's made from fresh, real beef and chopped up, and pickles that we've done ourselves that we purchased from the Hutterites. And like, I'm like, come on, man.
The poor lady that had to make the phone call, hey? You almost sit there.
She's a really great, she's a nice lady, and she probably took the shitty end of the stick from me there, but get lost.
Yeah. 100%.
Get lost.
With all due respect.
With all due respect.
Yeah.
I really do mean that. Like, if you got a legitimate reason to be here, but I've been in so many kitchens, and we all have. We all know the restaurants. You've seen their washroom. If their washroom's nasty, you want to know what their kitchen looks like?
I've sat in a restaurant in this town, and there's a cockroach that walked across the bench behind my wife. And my wife's like, no, called it into the food and health people. And she called them like 3 or 4 times, and they never gave her a call back, never said they're acting on it, never said they're doing anything. It was like talking to a brick wall. And that's a legit cockroach in the restaurant. And she couldn't get anything done. And it's like, are you kidding me?
Well, and honestly, they don't, half the time it's like, well, here's a slap on the wrist, fix it, we'll be back in a month. If it's that bad, there's a health safety issue in that restaurant, whether it's how they're storing food or anything, shut them down.
Yeah.
I don't care. It's their business and their livelihood. They should have gave a shit about that before, not after. That's like somebody, you know, that gets busted for drunk driving and saying like, I need my license to go to work. Well,
it's a bit of an afterthought.
Yeah. Maybe you should have considered that before you got behind the wheel of a vehicle and got pulled over for whatever. Like, that's how my parents raised me.
Yeah.
That you can be as sorry as you want. Are you sorry you did it, or are you sorry you got caught?
Yeah.
Like, a big difference. And that's the hard time. I think sometimes, had I listened in Shaunavon to what everyone was telling me in the first 3 years, you should just serve more of this, do that, you know, Harvest never would have became what Harvest became. I had to tune out to an extent. You still have to filter in critical feedback, but I had my eyes on a goal, on a prize, and there was nothing that was going to get in my fucking way on the way there. I was building toward that. I don't care if you don't understand it. Yeah. You will one day. Yeah. I'm not here to lecture you or make you feel shitty or anything. And I don't need you to lecture me on how to run my business and where to spend my money. Yeah. I'm building this. If you don't want to eat here, don't eat here. Yeah. Don't tell me what I'm doing is shit or garbage. It's just not for you. You know, and I feel the same way about music and art. Like, don't shit on somebody because you don't like it. That's not really my thing, but I'm sure people will like it.
How many times have people said, I should have just trusted my gut?
Yeah. Yeah. And my thing, I've heard these guys, it's a podcasters I listen to, Stuff You Should Know. Yeah. Really great podcast. And so that's why I was excited when you asked me to come do this, because I've never done one before. Yeah. But their saying is, why do you need to yuck someone's yum? Yeah. And I love that. Yeah. There's no need to yuck someone's yum. If that's what they're into, that let them be into it. Yeah. You don't, what are you gaining by telling them how crappy it is? And you can have your opinion, you can speak it, but you should always preface it with, well, my opinion is, or I feel, because it's not fact. Yeah. It's exactly that. It's your opinion and your feeling. When you're talking about subjective things like food and music and art and things like that, it isn't for everybody. Yeah. If you're talking about how to do an open heart transplant, that's maybe there's one way to do it. You know, like, so for me, it's like when it comes down to being subjective on things, like, and even that, like how someone lays flooring. Like, I've had different floor layers come in. Some guys feel that this is the approach they should take, and other guys feel both usually end up with a good result. Yeah. And I like to be smart sometimes, so you can say, well, how's your restaurant? Yeah. You know, I got a restaurant 12 years.
And before that, you were busy. People seeked you for your professional opinion on other restaurants. And these people giving their opinions have never been down that road. So just enjoy.
Try and enjoy it. That's my thing in life in general. Just try and enjoy it. There's so much negative crap coming at us from every direction right now. It's fear mongering from the media. It's fear mongering from our government. It's be afraid, be this, be that. Don't like this. You're different. You're so unique. Yeah, you are, but you're also just like everyone else.
Yeah.
Like, and you're more like everyone else than you wanted. There are things that make you a unique individual, but you don't need to take a stand on everything.
Yeah.
Pick your battles. Pick the things that are really important to you. Then go do something actually about it. Go join a group or a community organization or something that focuses on those things and pour that energy into that instead of just shitting on everyone around you all the time. Like for me, we've had such an opportunity to meet so many people from 3 to 4 hours around our restaurant that have become regulars. There are so many amazing people doing so much amazing stuff out here. We need to encourage that. We need to encourage things like your podcast, and it's going to be the same thing. It's start somewhere, but who knows? In 5 years, you might be on Sirius and doing.
I'm just having fun doing it.
Yeah,
wherever
but enjoy it, right?
Yeah,
like and lean into it, and if I can come help and give up a bit of my day to day and help you with that, and I mean, hopefully I don't hurt it. Maybe a bunch of people will see this and be like, "It's terrible."
Don't care. I had Chris Barber on, Matt.
Yeah, I know.
I do not care. It's and I'm happy to have opposing opinions on here. I love to listen. I love to learn, change my mind, and
maybe you just feed somebody information. Maybe it's just something they didn't think about.
Yeah.
That's how I came to my opinion on things. I try and read as much as I can and arrive at my own opinion.
Yeah. Well, let's mark it there.
Yeah.
Rusty, thank you very much.
Thanks, buddy.
Harvest Eatery, Shaunavon, Saskatchewan. Anything else you want to add?
Yeah, call us for catering.
Catering, that's bespoke catering,
bespoke catering or just weddings. If you're doing business lunches, that kind of stuff, give us a holler. If it sounds like it's crazy and you're not sure who would do it, call me.
There you go.
I'll tell you, we've done all kinds of stuff. So yeah, other than that, come see me, come visit the team down there, bring an open mind and empty belly and let us give you a great experience and a wonderful night, hopefully.
Really appreciate you coming out.
Thanks, Logan.
Amazing.
Cheers, man.